Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Jordan McLaughlin is going to dribble it out in midcourt. A 45-point victory in Game 6 to save off elimination. And the Timberwolves are headed to Sunday for their second ever Game 7.
A total blitz by the Timberwolves last night. Game 7 is on tap. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We can talk about this absolute whitewashing and how Minnesota found their defense again and how Denver just no-showed a Game 6, Perloff. But to me, the real story is who's under more pressure and who has more at stake for this Game 7. Is it Nikola Jokic, the three-time MVP, or is it Anthony Edwards, the rising, ascending star of the NBA?
I think it's got to be Jokic because the Edwards, the machine that America does when a star is on his way up, that thing is already started, and it ain't going to stop for anything. Wait till it's going to be the summer of Anthony Edwards. It's going to be in every commercial.
Yep.
ESPN is going to promo him to death in the fall. Like Anthony Edwards has arrived like Michael Jordan before he won a championship. That's happening. So I think that everyone's going to say if he loses, oh, he's just 22, there's more to come. So it's got to be Joker because he's older and he's defending champion. So I think the expectations have to be higher, and he's at home.
It's going to be unforgivable if Jokic loses this Game 7. Yes, it will. It will.
No way.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you why. Because it's Jokic with all the pressure and so much at stake. When you are a three-time MVP and you have a Game 7 on your home floor, you cannot lose that to somebody who is, yes, a rising star and a great player, but somebody who is still on the ascent. You're the guy. You're the dude. So losing this would be detrimental to Nikola Jokic. And here's another reason why. There's a faction of people, NBA fans, who are just waiting for any moment when Jokic slips up. Any excuse to criticize him, to, call him out because it doesn't look like what we're used to seeing with an MVP. I'm talking about his style of play. It's below the rim. It's just different. They call it an old man game, obviously, times 100. He's doing this at such a high level, but it's aesthetically pleasing, like kind of, but not like someone who you loved all those years, like a Vince Carter type. So people are just waiting in the wings to undermine Jokic. And if he loses a Game 7 on his home court to up-and-coming Anthony Edwards, to everyone clowns Rudy Gobert, to perennial disappointment Karl Anthony Towns, it's unforgivable for Jokic. I can't even, out of the stratosphere, he cannot lose this game.
I think you are entirely misreading NBA Nation and the way people are viewing Jokic now. It's like I'm seeing all these kids impersonating Jokic on Instagram. It's amazing.
Are they kids or are they middle-aged dudes?
No, people are coming to appreciate Jokic's sort of combo Larry Bird Euro game. I think Jokic is on a heater right now. And I don't think, even if they lose this game, I think everyone's going to view, the guys around Jokic let him down. Because honestly, that's been the story of this series is Jokic picked it up. After 0-2, Jokic is like, I'm taking over. And it's worked. And last night, Jokic wasn't bad at all. He's fine. It's the rest of the guys that you have no idea what they're going to. It's going to be Jamal Murray stunk. It's not going to be, no one's going to blame Jokic.
Everyone will blame Jokic.
No
because
way.
Here's the thing, though. You can't have it both ways. You can't say that his supporting cast isn't good enough when they won the title last year, and it's the same dudes.
But everyone expects Jokic is going to be 28, 10, and 7 assists. And then Jamal Murray, it's either going to go 3 for 21 and they lose, or Jamal Murray's going to be 10 for 16 and they win. I totally disagree. I think Jokic is the steadying force. Everyone's going to blame everyone else, as they should, because it has nothing to do with Jokic. You know he's going to deliver. That dude always delivers. It's going to be Michael Porter Jr. who's going to hit a shot. Is Aaron Gordon going to play consistently? And specifically, is Jamal Murray going to look healthy? Is he going to be able to shake Anthony Edwards for once? Probably not, but it's not going to be about Jokic.
Oh, no. I think it is because you have an all-time great player, if you want to go by eye test, hardware, all those things with Jokic. And when do we ever give that kind of grace to stars? We don't do it, especially stars of his caliber. It's not, oh my gosh, Jamal Murray didn't show up, they let him down. I think the only time I can remember something like that is when literally LeBron was playing with a Cavaliers supporting cast where J.R. Smith didn't know the score. Like, there was such a bunch of clowns around him that people didn't understand that LeBron got a pass for that. I don't think superstars generally get a pass. I don't think people would say, oh, man, Michael Jordan, like, it's because John Paxson let him down. Like, that doesn't exist for people who are on the plane of Nikola Jokic, because they'll say this: yes, you have to play great as a superstar, and you've got to set your teammates up. You've got to do both. You've got to be great on your own, and you've got to be setting the table and putting everyone else in their best position to succeed.
God, I can't imagine coming in here Monday morning and saying Joker let down the Nuggets. I don't think I've ever said that before. I don't think I'll ever say it in the future, because what is Joker's little weird game? Like, first of all, what's the basement on that? Like, even if Joker is bad, he's still Joker. He's still going to throw a bunch of passes, get a bunch of rebounds. Like, I just don't feel like there's a real potential for a flame-out game like John Starks in Game 7, or I assume LeBron's had a bad Game 7. Or Joker's a little bit like Michael Jordan. Like, nobody remembers games they lose. They just assume it was everybody else's fault.
Well, because Jordan generally won a lot of those games.
Or Larry Bird. Larry Bird lost Game 7s. Nobody blamed him. I've never heard anyone say, oh, Larry Bird is that level of superstar, he let anyone down. History doesn't remember those. Joker is so steady. This is not happening. Well, I think most people agree with me. Like, there's no way. If they lose this game, it's going to be Jamal Murray. It's not going to be Joker.
Man, I don't think so, because it's not like late Larry Bird where he was playing through back pain and all that stuff. And Larry had already banked multiple championships. Jokic has the multiple MVPs. He's got the one title, and that's great. But he, of someone of that caliber, I think you're expecting, oh, this is going to result in just more than one title. And again, I think people are waiting around for Jokic to mess up. EJ, what was the Lil Wayne tweet that you mentioned to me earlier today?
Yeah, Lil Wayne had apparently said that he hates Jokic's game. It's like Lil Wayne, who's a very emphatic, or rather enthusiastic basketball fan, was like, I gotta be real, I hate Jokic's game. He reminds me of your YMCA dad, and it's hard for me to root for him. It's hard for me to watch him. When you've lost Lil Wayne, I mean, there's just no coming back. And
Lil Wayne is a human. There's no two humans are more physically opposite than Lil Wayne and Jokic. The other thing, too, like, Jokic's style is so workmanlike. It feels like he's just ready to leave the court and then go into his horse paddock in Serbia or whatever. Like, it just doesn't feel like there's no star power there to lose. Like, you can't affect this guy. So like, why, if he has a bad game, no, everyone knows that he didn't care. He's just out there to win ball games.
See, that's the other part. I think we're talking about who is, has more at stake in this Game 7, and I think we both agree it's Jokic, but to what degree and how much he has at stake, and I think it's a ton, and you don't think so. Because here's the thing, that's the other thing that Jokic fights against, which is the perception that basketball doesn't matter to him. And I think that will always follow him in a negative way. We see maniacal competitors like Michael Jordan, like LeBron James, who are obsessed with basketball. And Jokic might be like that behind the scenes, but the outward, sort of personality of him, or the outward sort of thought, is that Jokic would rather be at a Serbian OTB than be playing in a Game 7, didn't want to go to the parade, the championship parade, doesn't want any of the spoils of being this great athlete. And I think that's something that hurts him. I think it hurts him when people think you don't die for this. This doesn't bother you. And again, we don't know for sure what he's like in his private moments, but I think he fights against that. And if he loses this Game 7 and there's no shows around, or they look lackluster, he's going to get blamed for that.
Again, I think it's literally the exact opposite. I think people celebrate that he is not one of these phony in the weight room guys, that he's just like, I saw this video the other day. It was somebody cut together all these NBA stars working in the offseason, doing these crazy lifting things, and LeBron on like some huge barbell and one leg. And then they cut to Jokic in the offseason partying at a Serbian restaurant. And then all
dancing.
These things. Like, I think people celebrate that Jokic isn't this weight room guy, and he still goes out and dominates, and he sort of has the right perspective on all this. Honestly, like, Jokic is sort of grandfathered into this not trying thing. He doesn't. When you say he is fighting it, he is the last person on earth fighting it. He could care less. He cares 0.0 what his perception is, and that is sort of refreshing and makes him, in a way, like charming.
So I think that is only potentially endearing if you're winning. When you're losing, and if you lose a Game 7 on your home court, that, he doesn't care about basketball, this is his side hustle, becomes, you don't care about basketball. Like watching Michael Jordan hug a Larry O'Brien trophy with tears streaming down his face. Like watching Kobe have that big release and the exhale of the expectations and then being so maniacal about doing it again and again and again. And I think that ends up working against him because we love crazy psycho competitors for sports, and that's what has been fetishized about Michael Jordan, and that's like living up to that standard. Like you want to beat everybody, including the security guard you're playing quarters against. We elevate that in sports, not the Jokic sort of letting stuff roll off his back.
I think it's totally, they're in different categories. We judge Serbian big men in a totally different way than we judge Kobe and Michael Jordan. He's an oddball, and I think people like that. I like the way he plays. I'm sorry, Lil Wayne, you don't enjoy this, but I think people are starting to appreciate the weird passes and the way he kind of dribbles and the odd shot. Last night he hit a shot where he got an offensive rebound. He went into the lane and sort of did this underhand scoop. I can't even describe it. Yeah. It was a shot that a grandfather tries on his 8-year-old, and it went in. He's just so bizarre that I don't think that you compare him to Kobe and Jordan. I think he's in a separate bucket than all these guys. And honestly, I don't think people hate it that I think actually more people like that he doesn't, try is not the right word. That
he's definitely trying.
He doesn't live and die by how the team, win or lose. I think actually people find that refreshing, not a negative.
Think about when we go into a draft, right? And this happened a little bit to Anthony Edwards, if we want to remember his draft. And it happened with guys like Myles Garrett, and it happened with guys like, well, those are the two that really come to mind, number one overall, which is they don't care enough about basketball or football, right? That was the knock. They don't care enough. Now, that ends up not being true. Myles Garrett is unbelievable. Yeah. Anthony Edwards, unbelievable. But think about it. When that's like a negative, when you don't care about it. And for Jokic, the winning made up for that. The winning MVPs and then winning a championship sort of makes that story go away. It comes back full throttle and full-throated if he loses this Game 7 to the Timberwolves.
And then how far did Myles Garrett and Anthony Edwards fall because of this reputation?
They didn't, but
they were both number one overall. Nobody in the NFL or NBA cared less about that.
It was definitely a knock on them.
Yeah, but that's just draft coverage. I mean, honestly, everyone...
It's not celebrated is what I'm saying.
If anyone could go back to whatever year was it, 15 or 16 where Jokic was drafted, everybody in the league would have taken him number one. Actually, I don't know who went number one in that draft. I know Jokic was second rounder, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's just sort of hyperbole. Honestly, I think Jokic has just redefined what a superstar can act like. And
I think it's a sin if it seems like you don't care.
I'll tell you right now, if they're not going to lose Game 7 because of Joker. I think we all know that. I think this is a lot of pressure on Jamal Murray. Like, he better play well. Otherwise, you're going to look at Denver. I think everyone's like me. We're going to blame everyone but Joker. It's going to be EBJ, everyone but Joker.
I don't know. See, I think I'm holding Jokic to this high standard that we hold other superstars to. Nobody went into a finals and said, man, Scotty doesn't show up. No one was talking like that. It was like, Michael's got to win this.
Because Joker's going to show up. There's no way he's not going to show up. It's the guys around him have to play to his level.
Well, they couldn't hit the ocean last night. I mean that was rough.
Joker's style, because he's an inside player, he's a center, it has a very high ceiling. Like, he's 3 feet from the basket on half these shots. I can't see him pulling a 2 for 20 or something like that. Leave that to the outside guys. This is a lot of pressure on them because Joker's game is kind of easy to score.
Well, the other part too about Joker, and I get it, he's always making the right pass, but sometimes a little too cute. Like, you're right there. Don't pass ping pong back and forth with you and Christian Brown. Just score. Just score the basketball. And
I don't know.
LeBron got skewered for making the correct pass at the end of games. Are we not going to hold Jokic to that same standard?
Oh, my God. Are you getting a LeBron comparison in here? Give me a break. No. So after the win on Game 5, everyone's like, oh, my God, this is the best thing ever. Now you're skewering Jokic for having that extra pass. You came in one morning and you were in awe of his little behind the back pass to Gordon. It's amazing.
I know, because Gordon actually dunked the ball. I'm saying, when you're that close to the basket And he was kind of in a weird position where he was getting guarded, and that was the behind the back pass kind of felt like, well, that was kind of the only pass you could make. This is just pass back pass. It almost got a little too cute.
But the more passes you throw, the more likely you are to win the basketball game.
I
don't
get that,
care.
but last night they were ping-ponging passes all over the place, and nobody else could hit a shot. So
they did get some shots. But last night, here's the thing. In the modern NBA, if you lose by 70, it does not matter. Obviously, you could see at a certain point in the third quarter, I think when Joker went to the bench, it was like, all right, let's save our energy for Game 7. Honestly, last night's game has no impact on Game 7. The fact that the T-Wolves won by 50 doesn't matter, right?
Well, it doesn't have any impact on Game 7. I'll give you that. I don't think it carries over, but man, it was pretty embarrassing.
Why?
Anytime you're blown out.
It didn't matter. The Knicks got blown out by the Pacers and clearly came out with more energy and more confidence in the next game. I think people are learning, like, hey, let's not use our guys in a playoff series. Let's just let this one go. I didn't think that was embarrassing at all because Joker was making little adjustments in his head in the second half of that game. It has nothing. The fact that it was 115-70 means nothing.
I wonder if Game 7 had been flipped and this game was in Denver and Game 7 was going to be in Minnesota, if they would have.
Which one's the advantage? I don't even know anymore.
Well, I would think Game 7 in Denver's got to be an advantage for the Nuggets, right?
Well, I mean, the T-Wolves blew them out in the first two games in Denver. It's hard to tell these days in the NBA. Let me ask you a question. Would you rather lose 115-70 or lose 115-113?
I mean, as a neutral observer, I'd rather watch a good game.
Which puts you in a better position?
I mean, probably the blowout.
Kind of. Isn't that funny?
Yeah, that's not great for the sport. But I think we should focus in on Jokic here because this is where you and I don't see this. I think this is unforgivable, borderline unforgivable if they lose this game. When you're the 3-time MVP, you've got to win this game on your home floor. And Perloff thinks Jokic, his legacy's set. He's
the Joker.
Sure.
He's not Kobe or Jordan. He's got his whole different thing going on.
I actually agree with that point, honestly, because only reason why we have these quote unquote legacy games for LeBron's or Steph's or even Kevin Durant's is the concept that we put them on the highest pedestal.
Right.
I don't think Jokic is ever going to be put on that pedestal, even if his accolades suggest he should.
Yeah, how many MVPs do you have to win to get a little pressure around
I know,
here?
but to Perloff's point, the reality is that I just don't think people put him on that pedestal. So they'll say, well, he won a championship, so we know he's not a complete fraud.
It's also the center thing, too. Yeah. Kobe and Jordan had the ball in their hands. Jokic is a center. He does have the ball in his hands.
Oh, my God.
Shaq didn't have the same kind of pressure as other players in a weird way. It wasn't like, oh, Shaq better show up. Because everyone knew Shaq was just going to dunk 10 basketballs and score 25 points. There wasn't pressure on him. It's different when you're outside and you have the ball in your hands. Centers, we view differently. It's just the way it's always been. Kareem was viewed differently. The pressure was on Magic, not on Kareem, because we knew Kareem was going to deliver.
Yeah, but by the time Magic got there, Kareem had already won.
Not in L.A.
Yeah, but he had already proved that he was a champion.
Well, yeah, but I just think if you looked at a big game, the pressure is on the outside guy. It's like the centers have a different vibe. Also, the centers, they don't modulate. They're not going to go. They're not going to shoot outside and miss 10 3-pointers. That's not what centers do. So they're going to be steady Eddie. And that's what Jokic does. It's no way. Jokic's worst game is still 25, 10, and 8. It's
his responsibility as the great player of this time, best player in the league, 3 out of the last 4 years.
Sure.
You not only have to show up for yourself, but it is also incumbent on you to help and bring your teammates along, drag them along by any means necessary, make their lives easier also. Whatever it takes, if that's you scoring 40, if that's you scoring 20, but dishing out 15 assists, whatever it is, it's all on Jokic.
He's not a point
Anthony
guard.
Edwards, we have years with Anthony Edwards.
No.
This is going to be fine for him. But
Joker he actually is a big assist guy, but that's what a guard does. Jokic isn't going to drag him.
Well, he kind of has this skill set that's really unique.
But we still view him as the big man.
Man, but he does shoot threes, and he's in the middle of everything. But okay,
I think the big man calculus changes once you win a championship. Like for an Embiid or a Ewing or some of these guys that didn't win, yes, there is you got to win this Game 7. Everything, the pressure's on you. Once you've won, like a Shaq or some of these guys, it's like they've already won. We know they're great.
So there's no pressure on Jokic because he already has a title.
Well, there's actually no pressure on Jokic because he does not care. Like, he's not going to feel any pressure because he's different.
We get to have this conversation whether he wants to participate or not. 855-212-4227. So question really surrounding Jokic. I think it'd be unforgivable if he loses this game, but you tell us. 855-212-4227. Everyone up and early watching the show. Thank you. YouTube.com/InfinitySportsNet, Twitch.tv/InfinitySportsNetwork. Let us know what you think in the chat. You can also download the absolutely free Odyssey app. It's crystal clear. It's a great way to listen to the show. Take us with you wherever you go. SiriusXM channel 158, and of course, our incredible Infinity Sports Network affiliates. Just got a new affiliate list the other day. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you guys so much. We're all doing good work here. Okay, your reaction to this Game 6 last night and preview Game 7. We also have CaitlinClark. Not great last night. Get into that, too. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. I kind of like one stat about Anthony Edwards last night.
What's that? Blowout win last night for the T-Wolves. We got a Game 7 in Denver on Sunday, yes?
It was a 115-70 win for Minnesota. He was plus 43. Have you ever seen a plus 43? Nobody else on the team was above plus 24, I think. So somehow he was plus 43. Dude, he is getting after Jamal Murray. Like, it's unfair. I'm like, give Jamal a break. The guy has to throw a heating pad on the floor to get some attention. Poor Jamal Murray. Like, Anthony, just chill out, man, on defense. Let's make this a game.
Man, he cooked him last night, and Jamal Murray couldn't hit a shot. Maybe he really is hurt, but I don't want to just go to that excuse when he had played well in the subsequent games. So
maybe, Edwards' defense reminds me a little bit of, I'm going to say it, Jordan, Kobe, LeBron. Like, one of these ridiculously tall wing defenders who's like, when LeBron wants to shut someone down, that's trouble. And Edwards feels a little bit like that, and he's only 22. It'll get even better. But that to me is one of the pivotal matchups. Because Jamal Murray, you got to show up, dude, if you're not hurt.
Let's go to the phones. 855-212-4227. Question today, is it unforgivable for Jokic to lose a Game 7 on his home floor, considering he's the 3-time MVP? Josh is in Harrisburg. Hey, Josh.
Hey, guys. Happy Friday.
Same to you, pal.
I don't think it's an end-all, be-all. Maggie, you're a big LeBron chick, right?
I am.
Okay, so...
It's a weird way to put it, but yes, I'm a fan.
was it his responsibility, you think, in 2011 to drag that super team along when he only had, he put up like 8 points in that finals?
Josh, you're right. And LeBron, because I'm such a fan, he's the guy I give grace to on 2 occasions. One, that finals with no disrespect to Zydrunas Ilgauskas, but have you ever heard of Ira Newble? Because that guy was getting major minutes in that series, and he sounds like my accountant. The other one is when they lost to the Cavs when J.R. Smith didn't know the score in Game 1, and LeBron was so good in that series, I thought he could have and should have been MVP even in a losing record, in a losing effort, Jerry West style. So, I'll give it up for LeBron in a couple of those instances.
I'll give you that one. I mean, LeBron definitely had some finals where he showed up, but the team didn't.
Yeah.
I think it's all about what the play. If Joker doesn't show up, if his stat line is 12 points and 5,
here's the thing, though, Josh, that for LeBron, not to cut you off, but he was also going up against these all-time great Warriors teams. This is Jokic against a up-and-coming, very talented, very good Timberwolves team, but let's not act like this team is unbeatable. This is not the Warriors. This is not Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant situation where LeBron didn't have a prayer. This is a up and ascending team, but not to the level of the Warriors. Josh, thanks for the call.
I agree. I don't think people kill LeBron for losing to the Kevin Durant Warriors. Because what are you going to do? You're going against a team all-time team.
They got swept.
I do think that LeBron people, one thing I have a slight issue with the 2007 NBA Finals. Like, they had no chance, right, against the Spurs?
Yeah.
It was a sweep.
That was a sweep.
But they got through the easiest Eastern Conference. Like, that was a joke of a conference. Like, Orlando made it the next year. Like, there was no talent he beat. I think that people should put an asterisk next to that. Like, They did nothing in that playoff to me. And of course, LeBron, there were 8 teams in the West, just like this year, who could probably knock out anyone in the East.
Okay, but to our Jokic point of view, our Jokic conversation, would it be unforgivable to lose a Game 7 on his home court, considering he's a 3-time MVP? Like, this Timberwolves team is a good team. They've been good all year. It's not a fluke.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I don't think a lot of people out there trust Karl Anthony Towns. Rudy Gobert is like a walking punchline at times. And so I don't think this is like, wow, the big bad Timberwolves. No, this is an ascending Timberwolves team. They don't have the boogeyman aspect that the Warriors did.
Well, I will say one thing, though. Giannis won a title, and then his team, for many, many reasons, has not been back. I don't feel like people are killing Giannis. Like, the pressure on him is way different. Maybe because he's a big man, too. Like, nobody's like, oh, Giannis is letting everyone down. Are they? I mean, I never hear that. Everyone's like, oh, Giannis is still awesome, but that team stinks.
I think Giannis has been hurt a little bit, and so that kind of takes the wind out of the sails, because last year he missed multiple games in their playoff series against Boston and lost, and then this year he was out.
Yeah, I feel like that it's a different style player. Honestly, Jason Tatum gets way more pressure. Like, he has to win. If Giannis wins, great. If he doesn't, he's Giannis. He has to go to another team. I feel like Joker is in that category. I think the big men are just viewed differently.
I kind of feel like it's a little revisionist, because when Giannis was losing to Kawhi and they had those playoff failures, he definitely was getting a lot of heat for, like, this guy doesn't come through in the playoffs.
Couldn't hit free throws.
He doesn't have a bag. He can't shoot free throws.
But now,
though, a championship.
Yeah, but after that, though, as you point out, EJ, once you get that first one.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, nobody's killing Giannis now, are they?
No, I agree with that. I think it's the once you get the ring.
Okay, but 2-time MVP, 3-time MVP. We did this list the other day of all the 3-time MVPs. I mean, we're talking very rare air here.
I mean, Giannis 3 times, right? Or is it Giannis 2? Wait,
2, I believe.
Whatever, yeah. So what's the difference?
It's a big difference.
1.
Steve Nash has 2. Are you putting him in the same category as Larry Bird and LeBron and Kobe?
Joker's like Peyton Manning. Peyton won 1 million MVPs and couldn't win a Super Bowl, and his legacy is just fine. Joker's fine. He's fine. It doesn't matter. If he loses, we know it's not going to be because of him. And even if he has a bad game, I'm going to walk out and say, it wasn't his fault. It was everyone else's.
Well,
I'm preset to knowing Joker's game to know that if the Nuggets lose on Sunday, probably Sunday night, it's going to be because of everybody except Joker. I can't, there's no way you could convince me that the outcome is going to be anything but that.
Well, there's also some personal stakes here. We could put up on the poll, would it be unforgivable for Jokic to win Game 7? I'll lose a Game 7 on his home floor. There's personal stakes here, too. Food challenge on the line. Yeah. I thought I was sitting pretty on this one. I'm not going to lie. I was looking up like where to buy Bulls testicles, which is a fun search history to have on a work computer.
Or a home computer.
Yeah. My husband might have questions. I'm not going to lie. But actually, he'd have questions if it was like how to butcher testicles. Then he might pack a suitcase.
Make sure you put the word bull in there if you're going to do that search.
I know. All of a sudden, I wake up to an empty house. Husband's gone. I think I might have gotten a little ahead of myself on this one. And if the Nuggets win, then Perloff has to eat the Rocky Mountain oysters, the Bulls testicles. And if the Timberwolves win, I have to eat a Nordic dish, a lime jello tuna fish green olive concoction.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be generous this morning. And you guys are all witnesses. I'm going to let you out of that bet if you want to.
What?
Yeah. That means letting you out.
Yes.
No.
Did you just look at the spread for Game 7?
Not letting this happen.
You just looked at the spread for Game 7. What is it, 5.5?
It's 5. I'm like, oh, how do I get out of this
on that computer?
There's no way Denver's losing this game. Come on, let's just call it even. It was fun to talk about.
Eat it.
Bogusch does headlines. Hi.
Good morning, everybody. All I know is Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, Anthony Edwards, none of them could ever do this.
Rangers doubling it here. Redbird, they score! They score! The Rangers lead it 4-3.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Chris Kreider with a hat trick in the third period.
Sam Rosen.
Yes!
Trying to do his job while Dave Maloney acts like me in my bedroom last night on Rangers Radio News.
I imagine them hugging. They're like hugging and Sam Rosen's making the call at the same time.
New York winger Chris Kreider scoring 3 straight goals over 9 minutes of the third period to turn a 3-1 hole into a 4-3 lead, which became a 5-3 clincher in Game 6 in Carolina. Kreider asked postgame what such heroics mean to him.
It means we have to play more hockey.
Instead of Game 7 at the Garden tomorrow night, the Rangers wait on the Bruins and Panthers. They play Game 6 in Boston this evening, with Florida 1 win away from joining the Rangers in the Eastern Conference Final. For the second straight game, Canucks-Oilers decided in the final minute of regulation. This time it was Vancouver forward J.T. Miller scoring with 33 seconds left for a 3-2 win and a 3-2 series lead. Those T-Wolves did not in any third quarter, third period, fourth quarter dramatics, crushing the Nuggets in Game 6 in Minneapolis. 115-70. 45 points is the largest margin of victory in the playoffs by any team in 9 years. Anthony Edwards can't wait for Sunday night in Denver.
I've never played a Game 7 on the road, but all my playoff experiences on the road has been like super fun because nobody's on your side. So I can just imagine how this game will be and like the fans. So I'm super pumped for it. I'm super happy. I'm ready to play it.
Edwards scoring.
And I believe him. This guy's unflappable.
You're 22. Could you act like it and just be a little nervous here, dude? I can't stand uber confident, achieve young people.
Wow.
Terrible.
What? You are such an old man.
Yeah, it's like, remember,
by the kids today.
remember we were at Sports Illustrated and Pablo Torre shows up on the scene? I'm like, I hate you. I hate young, talented people.
Remember we had that young man that knows all the stats and was doing the interviews, and Perloff's like, this is my number one enemy.
Yeah. Everyone in this industry.
Like the 11-year-old football guy in a little shirt and tie?
Yeah, he hates that guy.
Holding a little microphone.
Everyone in the media is like, I want to help the next generation. Well, not me.
I'm shutting the door. Anyone behind him.
You're 22. Could you act like it and be like, oh, this is a big game. I've never been here before. He's like, hey, let's go. What kind of people are built like this?
I can't believe I wanted to drive through Sheboygan to San Antonio with you. You are despicable.
He knows.
Edwards scored 27 last night. Jamal Murray just 10 for Denver. He missed 14 of 18 shots, partly because he hurt his right elbow in a collision with Rudy Gobert. CaitlinClark is now 0 for 2 as a pro, 9 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, just 3 turnovers, but the Fever took a 102-66 beating from the Liberty. Brianna Stewart led New York with 31.
That's right.
Speaking of young...
What?
Shout out to the Liberty.
Oh, yeah, that's a pro Stewie remark?
Pete, you're a Liberty fan now? I've never heard you mention them once.
Let's go Liberty.
Oh, get out of here.
But he's right.
You should leave the studio. It's a fun thing.
Wait, is Pete a Liberty fan?
Wait,
You've known him for 12 years.
No, he's not even a Knicks fan.
Okay, let's just all pause for a second. That this would bother Perloff. That Pete is a Liberty fan. We're just finding out about it now.
Yeah,
you jumped on every bandwagon from the Chiefs to the Rangers to the
Diamondbacks.
Sorry, I like something.
But no, Pete kills me every time I do that bandwagon jump. For him to all of a sudden be talking about the Liberty, that feels like
he didn't say the Aces.
It's not like
feels like a Perloff move right there.
It's not like I'm a Houston Comets fan.
Game recognized game.
I don't think you could be anymore. But the difference,
Houston Comets, the team that Pele played for in 1975. What?
I think the difference is Perloff at least is already a baseball fan as he jumps from team to team.
Yeah.
Pete's going from 0 to go New York, go New York, go
scratch.
Or where's my Stewie jersey?
Totally disagree. I think that Perloff's worse because Perloff actually has stakes with the team and then he leaves to jump to some other team.
Yes.
If you have no stakes and you say, I want to join a movement, that's fine.
And just to clarify for the 500th time, I am a Knicks fan. I am not an NBA fan.
You don't have one Knicks pullover.
And I do have a Knicks pullover.
Wear it on Monday.
I'll wear it Monday.
Thank you.
And I like the Liberty from when they were a part of the Knicks family.
Yeah.
Fair.
Thank you.
Fair? Why would you accept that?
Because he's
part
a
of
phony.
the Knicks family.
Because I don't even.
I'm a big Radio City Music Hall fan too. What does that mean?
I don't need to call him out. America knows this is a phony move.
I just love it. Can't get too uptight though with the gatekeepers. You know, if people want to come in, new fans for the WNBA, gotta let them in.
By the way, what hat are you wearing, Perloff?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Please explain the hat you are wearing today.
It's my lifelong fandom of the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah.
I go back to KG and Marbury.
Tom Gugliotta gave him that hat.
Yeah.
He was at the game last night. Him and J.R. Ryder.
No way, Goose was there?
Super cool. I was like, oh man, thank you. Finally, these teams are catching up with the Knicks. Bring your alumni. We want to see these guys.
Now that's a bandwagon. J.R. Ryder showing up in Minnesota now? That's worse than A-Rod.
They basically want to throw him out by the time his career was over in Minnesota.
Say, Marbury or J.R. Ryder was a more unlikely comeback.
Yeah, that's a great question. Wait, Marbury.
Although Marbury could go back to the Timberwolves too, but that would not be welcomed.
Is J.R. Ryder like Marbury feels like he's moving closer and closer to actually inserting himself into a play.
I got to apologize to Perloff because I was giving him a lot of crap for complaining about Marbury. And I watched a video last night. He's getting on the court too much.
It's too much.
It's getting it's getting a little ridiculous.
Also, it's too much for the fact that you were like part of one of the most embarrassing eras in Knick basketball.
Yeah, you were a pariah when you were here.
Yeah, it was terrible. Anyway, back to you, Bo.
Tiger Woods 3-putt bogeyed his final 2 holes yesterday at the PGA Championship to finish at 1 over par on a day where a record 64 men broke par, including our leader,
Xander Schauffele,
who shot a 9 under 62 for a 3-shot lead. Round 2 in Louisville begins next hour. Brazil chosen as the host for the 2027 Women's World Cup. And the upcoming sports streaming service from ESPN and Fox and TNT will be called Venu Sports, VENU. Leave off that E for savings. We don't have the price yet, and that price will definitely be affected by TNT's not going well negotiations with the NBA.
Am I going to have to buy this thing?
LeBron chick, right?
I'm going to have to buy this thing to see games. I'm very confused by this whole new package.
So I think what might be the best thing about this, I think this might be the thing that allows you to not have actual cable anymore. Because
/ go broke trying to watch sports.
So if you're paying for whatever it is, DirecTV, Comcast, whatever it's called, you may be able to get rid of that base thing, have this bad boy, get all the sports you need, except maybe, I guess, the one hiccup remains like your local thing. But
what about NBC?
Well, I guess, like, in my mind, if I can lop off my DirecTV bill,
you'll
pay for this,
and
then pay for Peacock, then I'm probably okay with, and Paramount Plus is probably going to be less money than my cable bill.
I know, but
This might be the thing that gets me off.
Yeah.
Me too, but then here's the other thing, though. What do you guys do about your home internet? Because my internet comes through the cable, and they're giving me this, like, hey, package your home and your internet.
But you could just get rid of the TV part of that cable.
I guess so. I just wonder, I don't know, are people just going to be like, well, I'm doing my internet and my cable?
I think, remember ESPN went off of Time Warner about earlier in the season?
Yeah, you missed the Monday night kickoff, didn't you?
I read that Time Warner wanted you to get rid of your cable and just have internet because they make way more money on that. Right. I wonder, what about the RSNs, though? Like you mentioned, the local teams, that's a huge deal for everybody.
That's still a thing. I mean, and like some of them around here in New York, Yes and MSG have their own standalone thing, but they are insanely expensive.
Is it $30 a month for like Yes on demand?
Right.
Like,
the MSG one is insane.
It's like $35 a month. It is laughably expensive.
That's crazy.
So you'd be smart to get MLB Pass, for example.
But you can't watch your local stuff
it's
on
blacked
those.
out.
Oh.
Unless you have a workaround, which is impossible.
Here's the problem, too. When you want to actually do this and cut off the cord, you need like 3 days to do it because you need to get on the phone with the cable company, talk to them for about 5 hours, then get off the phone with them, then figure out what channels you're going to stream and see if it works. So 3 days.
You're right. Set aside a whole holiday weekend.
Yep.
The annual subscription for MSG Plus is $309.
For Knicks and Rangers.
Yes.
That's like $20 a month or $30 a month.
Or you can do a monthly payment of $30 a month.
That's silly.
Oh, that's brutal.
How dare they? Yeah, this is hard. We're trying to calculate how much it would actually cost for someone just to watch all the NFL games this year. Mm-hmm. And we will bring that calculation to you next because we're still got people in the back crunching numbers on this thing.
Yeah, I blame AI. I don't know.
Iverson?
Allen Iverson.
What did he ever do?
No, I don't know, but everything AI is always at fault here, in my opinion.
Andre Iguodala?
He just didn't want to practice. Come on.
Practice?
He didn't make the statue. The Sixers did.
Got you to a finals. 855-212-4227. Yes, we all might go broke trying to watch an 18-game NFL regular season. We'll get to that next. Don't move. More Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Well, you might want to sit down for this one. Got some news coming out of the PGA Championship from Jeff Darlington of ESPN. This is wild. Breaking news. World #1 golfer Scottie Scheffler has been detained by police in handcuffs after a misunderstanding with traffic flow led to his attempt to drive past a police officer into Valhalla Golf Club. The police officer attempted to attach himself to Scheffler's car, and Scheffler then stopped his vehicle at the entrance of Valhalla. The police officer then began to scream at Scheffler to get out of the car. When Scheffler exited the vehicle, the officer shoved Scheffler against the car and immediately placed him in handcuffs. He is now being detained in the back of a police car. This is the world #1 golfer. According to Jeff Darlington, who's at the PGA Championship for ESPN, Scottie Scheffler is 4 under in his first round. He's tied for 12th. He tees off in 2 hours.
Well, ESPN's reporting the whole tournament's delayed because of a traffic accident. So
but now
they
he's
just
in
showed
handcuffs.
But I don't think anybody's getting in. So I don't think the other golfers are there yet either. So I'm actually not sure.
They have the video of it we're watching right now. He's in handcuffs. Oh, my goodness.
I think the whole tournament's going to be delayed here. I don't think it's just Scheffler. But by the way, this is not a good look for the PGA. With all the PGA Live stuff, I know PGA doesn't technically run this tournament, but this is what a mess. You can't get your best golfer into the course. What's going on here?
Well, there's 2 ways to look at this, and we'll wait for more details. But is it, kind of maybe embarrassing that the people don't recognize the world #1 golfer? Or is it Scottie Scheffler? Chill out. The police are trying to do their job.
No.
And you can't try to get around a police barricade, especially if there is some other accident going on. Do you blame the police officer for trying to do his job?
I have no idea. I'm not there.
Yeah,
I don't want to comment one way or the other. But I do think, I don't know how these golf tournament works, but isn't there a way to get your golfers in, even in a traffic? By the way, it can't be. I'm watching this on TV right now. There's got to be other golfers who are stuck in the same exact position.
Right. I would imagine.
Yeah.
But none of them are in the back of a police car right now in handcuffs. This is Scottie Scheffler got into a back and forth with a cop. What do you think it means in this visual? The police officer attempted to attach himself to Scheffler's car.
I don't know what that means exactly.
Like on the hood?
I mean, listen, Scottie Scheffler, he's always been a powder kake. It's a matter of time before he ran into the law.
It's a ticking time bomb. There's Scottie Scheffler. He had a new baby. He's probably sleep deprived. He has no idea what's going on.
Probably not to speculate, but he probably told him to stop, and he didn't stop.
Yeah,
maybe.
If you could think of the entire,
like, I got a tea time.
Entire world of sports, anybody, any sport, any country, can you pick a less likely person to get arrested than Scottie Scheffler?
I was going to say Jokic.
Are you kidding me?
Jokic's brothers, maybe not.
No, Jokic and his brothers. Yeah, no. There's nobody. Scottie Scheffler.
Well, maybe Anthony Edwards. He does seem like a very likable person. Can't see him getting arrested.
Somebody yesterday
He's 22
we were talking about that was like someone who's mild-mannered, and now I'm losing the name.
Iron Eagle. I don't see him getting arrested.
Iron. So this is the breaking news that Scottie Scheffler's been detained for an incident between him and a police officer trying to get into the Valhalla Golf Club at the PGA. According to Jeff Darlington, he's tried to sort of get past a police officer who was stopping traffic because there's another accident and another incident not related to Scheffler that's holding up traffic.
Apparently, Bogusch just walked in. He's watching this coverage. We obviously can't hear it. He says that Jeff Darlington was there. So that's why this account is so detail for detail, because he saw all this happen.
And they have the video of him getting in the back of the car in handcuffs.
Which I don't know how that happened.
I know guys can be good at compartmentalizing, but do you go from being detained in the back of the cop car to like shooting 4 under?
No, you go to being eliminated from the tournament for the weekend.
It would rattle you, I think.
I don't know. It's just a little white ball. Just stand over it and hit it.
This is Perloff.
Just like that's a cousin of, can Tiger Woods walk this course when there's a 75-year-old 3 feet away from him walking it? It's golf, guys.
This is Perloff's war on golf.
No,
He's
it's
been waging.
golf is Scotty Scheffler's refuge from his constant problems with the law. Actually, we did say, everyone's like, is he going to be distracted by having the kid at home? We all know we've been parents. There's nothing better than getting away from a newborn.
Oh, man, it can be so freeing. But again, this is Scotty Scheffler's in the back of a cop car right now being detained. Also, where's the tournament people? If he's still in the back of the cop car, where are the tournament people to come out and be like, hey, come on, misunderstanding here. Let's let this dude go.
I like your point, by the way. Is it any other sport where the number one overall guy is completely unrecognizable?
To a cop?
To a cop, yeah. In Louisville, where the tournament is. 100 feet away from the course.
Wow. Did not expect that one. Thank you to Andrew Kaplan for bringing that to our attention, too. So, we'll keep you updated through the break as world number one golfer Scotty Scheffler has been detained by police for trying to get around a police officer getting into Valhalla Golf Club. Whoa. We also have CaitlinClark, her second game. Didn't go that great. Got the details for you.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
We got some breaking news out of Louisville, Kentucky, the site of the PGA Championship at Valhalla Golf Course, and it involves world number one golfer Scottie Scheffler. According to Jeff Darlington and now ESPN reporting, he's been detained by police in handcuffs after a misunderstanding with a police officer about traffic flow. Now, this all stems because there has been reportedly a very, very serious accident, not involving Scottie Scheffler, involving a pedestrian, and the tournament itself may be delayed. We're going to get an update from the PGA, the people who run the tournament, at 7:30, so we'll have more details for you then. But what happened is there was this very serious accident involving a pedestrian. It totally messed up the traffic flow. And as Scottie Scheffler, the world number one golfer, is trying to get into the course for a tee time that was supposed to be at 8:48 a.m., he got into a back and forth with a police officer. At one point, according to Darlington, the police officer was attempting to attach himself to Scheffler's car, screaming obscenities. They're screaming at each other. The officer shoved Scottie Scheffler against the car at one point, and again, put him in handcuffs and put him in the back of the car. So this is wild. First of all, sad if there was this very serious accident that happened, but then how this escalated with Scottie Scheffler in handcuffs, Perloff.
Yeah, we have video of him in handcuffs too. We didn't see like any shoving or anything of what we've seen so far. I've been to some of these big tournaments, and it is a logistical problem to get all the people into the golf course, and it's a logistical problem. I never even actually thought about how they get the golfers in there too. I'm surprised Scottie Scheffler was driving himself. I guess that's how it works.
Allegedly driving himself. Now we have an update. Yeah. EJ, tell us what kind of sound we have.
So we have Jeff Darlington here. He's on ESPN. This was about 9 minutes ago, recounting what he saw firsthand when Scheffler got detained.
Entering Valhalla Golf Club this morning, we witnessed a car pull around us that was Scottie Scheffler was in the car. To be very clear about the details here, Scottie Scheffler has been detained by police officers, placed in the back of a police vehicle in handcuffs after he tried to pull around what he believed to be security, ended up being police officers. They told him to stop. When he didn't stop, the police officer attached himself to the vehicle. Scheffler then traveled another 10 yards before stopping the car. The police officer then grabbed at his arm, attempting to pull him out of the car before Scheffler eventually opened the door, at which point the police officer pulled Scheffler out of the car, pushed him up against the car, and immediately placed him in handcuffs.
Wow. So that's the world number one. Again, we're going to have an update around 7:30 about the tournament and what's going to go on. But this is a crazy story. And listen, unfortunately, there is this very serious accident that incited this or led to this, which Scottie Scheffler, again, was not a part of. But Perloff, here's my question, and we'll get all the details as the morning goes on. Whatever happened, how do you go out and play golf after this? Scottie Scheffler's 4 under. He's, again, the world number 1 golfer. How do you put this behind you when you're detained by police in a very frenzied scene that Jeff Darlington just described, and go out and put that behind you and play 18 holes?
Well, that is a great question. The other question is he going to be allowed to play today? Because I guess Darlington said the police told him he's going to jail. And
Whoa.
So do they have to take him to a police place and book him and give him thumbprints or whatever they do? I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Is he going to get a mug shot?
I don't know, because I don't know. It's hard to tell if this is an incident of Scheffler really breaking the law in this crazy way, or was this maybe a police officer who's dealing already with a very serious incident and maybe was a little aggressive? I have no idea.
Yeah. Oh, here's a tweet from Dan Hicks, NBC golf coverage. According to Darlington, he was told by police as he approached the vehicle, there's nothing you can do. He's going to jail. So if that's the case, then I imagine Scheffler is DQ'd, possibly. Yeah. I think that's what you have to watch for. Man, and it's funny to me, this is obviously irrelevant if there was a tragedy on the course, but this whole PGA Live thing is hanging over this whole tournament right now, like the fact that John Rahm's a pariah and all that, and now you get the number 1 golfer arrested. It feels like golf is having some weird times right now.
No doubt. I'll tell you what, I mean, people said Scottie Scheffler wasn't all that interesting. I mean, he just got a whole lot more interesting in a I don't want to say like a morbid kind of way, but it just, how did this escalate to this point?
Well, also, this strikes me about Scottie Scheffler's character, too. He always says his faith carries him through everything, and that's all he cares about, and that's number 1, and his family. Now that's going to be put to the test. Like, how does a guy like that, who does seem above the pressures, it doesn't feel like, you could see other golfers who feel it. Scottie seems to be more focused on, he seems to be very mentally aligned and focused, and that's his thing, right? Because he's not a better ball striker than everybody else. He just is slightly unflappable. I mean, he is a good ball striker. Yeah. So that's really going to put him to the test. Like, let's see, Scottie, if everything you've been saying over the last 3 years, you put it, and he's got, he does have a newborn at home. Maybe that puts it into perspective for him. Like, I don't know if when you had your baby, like, that was like the number 1 thing on your mind a lot of times. Maybe the golf tournament, this is not the most important thing to him right now. Maybe he's like, all right, this is terrible, but
I don't know. It seemed like he was probably just. This is what it seemed like to me, that he. And again, we'll have more from you for you from Jeff Darlington. It seemed like he's obviously just trying to get to the course. I think that the players are crazy about keeping their schedule and staying on track. And all of a sudden he runs into a traffic jam. He probably has no idea the seriousness of the traffic jam and why it's all backed up, and thinks, I got to get to the course. I'm a player. I'm trying to win the title. I'm the world number 1. I have to go on the shoulder and drive on the shoulder and try to get around this traffic jam, come hell or high water. And the police officer clearly had other ideas. We have more from Jeff Darlington on ESPN, who witnessed Scottie Scheffler getting detained by police over a traffic incident.
Scottie Scheffler, seeing me behind him, said, "Can you help?" The police officers instructed me to step back. I instructed that I was a member of the media. They walked Scottie Scheffler to the police car. A police officer turned to me and said, "You need to get out of the way." He told me, "There's nothing you can do. Scottie Scheffler is going to jail." He didn't use Scottie Scheffler's name because at that point they did not know.
Wow. Whoa.
That is stunning. Should they know? I'm not saying that he should be above the law. No one should be above the law. The police are dealing with something very serious here, an accident, an incident that had nothing to do with Scottie Scheffler.
Yeah.
But at some point, does he also have to be a little bit patient and think, hey, there is something bigger than me that's going on? I know that's probably impossible for him to fathom as he's going into round 2 of a major tournament, but there is other things that are more important. And the seriousness of this accident, again, that was away from Scheffler, the way that's being reported, this is definitely more important than golf.
Yeah, it's really hard to make those determinations. Like, was Scheffler at fault? I guess more details have to come out. I'd like to hear what the police have to say too. Maybe we're hearing Darlington's account, which sounds very accurate. Sounds like, and then Jeff's a very established reporter. He's been covering the NFL mostly for 10 years. So, I'd like to sort out more facts before we judge. Were the police too lenient, or were the police too hard on him? We don't really know.
No, we don't. How about this? Like, Delta's in the chat, youtube.com/InfinitySportsNet, where is Scotty asking Jeff Darlington to tell the police officer, tell them who I am? Was that when he says, can you help me? Listen, Jeff Darlington, what is he going to do? He can't step in between the police.
He's not a lawyer.
He turned the camera on. That was what he did. But, does he tell the police officer, hey, you've got the world number one Scotty Scheffler right there. Oh, Bogusch is coming in. He's following this minute by minute. What do you got for us?
So, I don't know if this has made your clips yet, but Darlington has also said that as the cop, he was trying to, he is an actual witness to this.
Yeah.
So in talking to the police, one of the officers said, there's nothing you can do right now. Scheffler is going to jail.
Yeah.
Which means he's not playing golf today, which means he's going to be DQ'd from the event.
Right.
Yep. That's what Perloff said.
We just got that. That's crazy. So did the organizers, and I know they're delaying the entire day because of this accident. Is it possible that they could wait for the police to sort out Scotty? I know you don't know it, but maybe they
can you fast track this misunderstanding?
Can you move his tee time? Is that allowed?
You can't move his tee time if he could get back in time, and I don't have it in front of me, but it's got to be on the early side today because he played yesterday afternoon.
No, it's 8:48 a.m.
Unless somebody in Louisville PD is send him back to the course right now, he's not going to be able to. This is not going to end fast enough for him to play.
But the whole tournament is delayed. So what if it's 2 hours delayed and he gets 10:48?
Yeah. Is there any way that he starts to play today? That he plays today? Yeah. I think it's still up in the air. I would say every outcome is possible.
Definitely.
So they're going to tell us something new at 7:30 about playing golf, and at least they say there's an hour delay to tee times, and the first one was 7:15. So now that's 8:15, which means he's 9:40. So. I don't know.
There has to be at least a natural delay in terms of if he's going to get booked and all that stuff. That takes time.
Yeah.
And then if they realize, oh, hey, Scotty Scheffler, and they clear him, that's going to take time too, and then get him back to the course. So just a logistics standpoint, he's not going to play.
No. And there's just no there's no time to get back and warm up and all. He's not gonna play unless the accident has caused that significant of a logistical issue in getting people on course to staff everything and get going, that the delay is that much longer.
Well, so we're talking about Scotty Scheffler, the world number one golfer, who was detained, is in handcuffs in the back of a police car, as far as we know right now, because there was a major traffic delay that had an incident had nothing to do with Scheffler. And as he got caught up in that traffic, he tried to maneuver around the traffic, and police officer stopped him, and a scuffle sort of ensued, and Scheffler ends up getting arrested. Not a scuffle. The officer tried to attach himself to Scheffler's car and then pulled him out of the car, pushed him up against the car, put him in handcuffs.
Yes, it was physical, and it was heated. And I don't know who the other person on set with ESPN is, to Jeff Darlington's right, but he was there too. And
Andy North.
No, I know who Andy North is.
Oh.
He's the other guy. There's the third guy.
This is another person. Okay.
They are visibly shaken. They can't finish sentences. They saw a lot this morning.
Yeah, Darlington looks like he saw.
They're
ghosts.
bothered by this.
Yeah.
And so here's another thing though. Okay, if the police officer said, it doesn't matter who this guy is, he's going to jail, or he's going whatever to the police station. Is there not a real life component here of this is a major golf tournament in Louisville, Kentucky, where they get this tournament once every 10 years, basically, or what does it rotate? Once every 5 years? It's a major event in the community. And do you work the PGA, the people who put on the tournament, and the police, do you not work together to try to resolve this thing in a way that gets Scotty Scheffler back on the course? I'm not saying he should be above the law, and I'm not saying that he should get any favorable treatment, but if it turns out it really was just a misunderstanding, do you try to work together at the highest levels to get him back on the course?
Well, here's the question. Well, then I'll ask the question, though. Because this didn't happen. This was near the course, but this wasn't like this was on the course or on the golf club.
It's literally at the gate.
it's at the gate, but because
it's like a jurisdiction,
it's technically still not like the police were there, so clearly they had jurisdiction at this point over this road. Does he have a right to just decide I'm gonna just drive on the shoulder and get in regardless of what's happening? Like I think that's a real question to ask, because I think
clearly this police officer thought no.
Well, no, and I think he kind of looks terrible to me on this.
But EJ, I think he might have thought a lot of people are counting on me. I mean, I understand.
But if the officer tells you to stop, or anybody,
no, you're right. I'm not defending him, but I can see him actually in that car. It's like, I got to tee off. You know, there's probably, let's be real, there are millions of people who bet on me. There's 100 people, thousands of people rooting on me. I could see a golfer feeling insane pressure and not really thinking rationally. Like, I got to get, I'm
Scotty
Scheffler.
Stuck in this traffic jam. This is crazy. And if it's someone who's got a flat tire, it's like, oh my gosh. You know?
I'm not defending him because you're right. You should listen to the police, but it's possible that he felt this incredible pressure to get through that gate.
And that's sure, but I understand that. But I just think at a certain point, there's a dangerous situation where people have, one person has died at least.
Yeah.
He doesn't, I'm not saying he knows that, but it just feels odd that you see there's a traffic jam. I'm sure typically when he goes to a golf event, there isn't traffic like this, which is why he probably did what he was doing. But the first instinct I would think is to maybe reach out to somebody, say, hey, I'm running late. Like, is there something wrong, or I don't know what's going on?
Yeah.
The fact that his instinct was to drive off, it's okay. He's in a rush. He's close to the gate. I understand that. But then when you're told, hey, stop, because maybe that's a PGA person telling you stop for some reason. Forget about the police. Maybe he doesn't know it's the police, but maybe there's a reason why you can't go through and he's still plunging forward. I'll be real. I mean, he's lucky he's not dead. Like, there's incidents where we see with police officers and we see with other people where these things escalate very fast. And we don't know if the officer has a quick trigger. We don't know what Scotty Scheffler said. I think that
there's a lot here. And
there's
also,
a lot going on.
It looks like it's raining, so that always adds to it, too. If it's bad weather and people drive weird. Yeah.
So the ESPN guys said that they were told that they were allowed to get in, and the golfers were told that they can still get in. I don't know how that works. I don't know if there's like a weird, snow day cone of text that goes out, but they knew that they were allowed to keep proceeding, and they had already been waved forward once by somebody who said, who are you? Why are you coming in? They were allowed to get to where Scheffler was. So they're assuming that at least once he was stopped. He said, I'm Scotty Scheffler. Somebody said, okay, keep going.
Right.
So then he gets to here, and the gate is 50 feet away from where this happened. So he's about to be inside the course. And he was not, according to them, he wasn't driving fast or recklessly. He didn't drive through people. There was just some level of miscommunication between him and this officer on the shoulder of the road.
Right.
And the officer basically threw himself on the car.
Right.
And then dragged Scheffler out of the car. But he was not flooring it or whipping around or anything like that.
Through.
He just thought he was allowed to keep going. The cop said stop. I don't know if Scotty showed him a bat. I don't know what.
Maybe he said, hey, they already told me I could go this way or something like that.
Yeah. There are cars in front of him going through. So so something happened that made this different, and it got very, very dramatic very fast, apparently.
Wow. Again, Scotty Scheffler allegedly in handcuffs still in the back of a police car because of this misunderstanding about a traffic incident that happened near Valhalla Golf Course. This is the world's #1. And now all these ripple effects and dominoes. Is he actually going to go to jail? Is he going to get DQ'd from the tournament? Is this going to get resolved? 855-212-4227. Bogusch, thank you so much. We'll keep you updated on all the details. Again, we also will get to CaitlinClark's game from last night, but we're up to the minute here on the PGA. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, Wendy's new Cinnabon Pull-Apart is here to satisfy your sweet morning cravings. Get your day off to a sweet start with Cinnabon Pull-Apart, only at participating U.S. Wendy's. All right, Denny Hamlin tries to get back to his winning ways at this weekend's All-Star Open Race in North Wilkesboro. The NASCAR Cup Series points leader finished 7th at Darlington last week. Weather this weekend at Speedway, mostly cloudy and 71. So we're following really closely the incident at the PGA. Scotty Scheffler taken off in handcuffs. We do not know what's going to happen. It's 7:22 Eastern now. It's 7:30 Eastern. The PGA is going to speak. They're delaying the whole tournament reportedly. One thing I mentioned, Scotty Scheffler's faith is sort of one of the things that you think of with Scottie Scheffler. This week on Saturday, his regular caddy is leaving for a high school graduation, and the PGA Tour chaplain, who's not a caddy, was going to fill in at caddy for him because he's so close to the PGA Tour chaplain.
Wow.
So it was going to be an interesting week for Scottie Scheffler, who just had a baby as well. In other words, there's just a lot going on with Scottie Scheffler. I think he's been the story of golf because of this baby, and now this. Not that there's any excuses. I think we're both trying to figure out, we got to hear what the police have to say. We have to hear what the PGA has to say. I'm sorry, it's not the PGA that runs this, right? It's the PGA. This event is a little different. There are a lot of people who have a lot of explaining to do.
Right. So this is the picture we can paint for you right now. There was another traffic accident that happened totally separate from Scottie Scheffler, but it was very, very serious. It's being reported. And so that caused a lot of backup and traffic delays for patrons and spectators, and also for the golfers themselves, the media, everybody. So as Scheffler is trying to get into the event, because he has an early tee time, it was going to be 8:48 a.m. Obviously, all that's now in total flux. He tried to drive on the shoulder, sort of go around traffic, not in a reckless way, according to reports, but just sort of get around traffic. And that's when he encountered a police officer who's working security who told Scheffler to stop. Scheffler didn't stop at first. The police officer attached himself to Scheffler's car, banging on the window, telling him to stop. Scheffler then did stop, open up the door. The police officer pulls him out of the car, pushes him up against the car, puts him in handcuffs, puts him in the back of the police car. And according to Jeff Darlington of ESPN, who witnessed this whole thing, they said he's going to jail. So, wow, you're right. This has been a heck of a week for Scottie Scheffler. And we'll see if this is a misunderstanding that could actually get cleared up, or is he going to get DQ'd from the whole tournament? Again, this is the world #1 golfer, and
he looked good yesterday, too.
He's 4 under.
Darlington filmed all this. He just put out his cell phone footage of it, too. There's so many angles of this. I mean, what a modern story in the sense that it's all on video, too.
Totally.
This image of Scottie Scheffler being carried off in handcuffs, that's something we're going to remember.
Yeah, and Scheffler apparently said to Darlington, can you help me out here? Like, the police don't know who I am, I think is what he was getting across. So is this a case of Scheffler being totally out of line and not understanding the seriousness of the incident that went beyond him? Or is this an incident of miscommunication between the golf tournament, the police, and trying to get the golfers into the tournament safely? Was it a police officer who was really doing his job in a very exuberant way?
Yeah.
There's a lot of different possibilities here. Let's go to the phones. David is in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, wants to weigh in. Hey, David, how you doing?
Good. And you?
We're doing good. What's on your mind, pal?
I've been the owner of a small-town newspaper in central Pennsylvania for 17 years, and I've been to hundreds of police and traffic incidents.
Right.
I will tell you that when there is a fatality, there is an entirely different aura to the first responders.
Yep.
There's no joking around.
Yep.
There's no chatting with each other. You get in their way, you do something they don't want you to do, they will respond, and they will respond forcefully.
And there are reports of that. We can't confirm that it was a fatality, so we didn't want to go that and assume it, David. But thank you very much for weighing in with your expertise there. But again, it is thought to be extremely serious. We're not 100% sure on the details.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think to say that cops are over exuberant in this kind of situation is really hard to say.
Well, and totally fair. I mean, when it is a very serious incident, but again, did someone tell Scheffler, or was it communicated to him, hey, you can get around the traffic to get in because you are a VIP in this sense, not in a VIP like in a bad way, but you got to get into the tournament faster than, let's say, a spectator does.
You know, this is a nightmare for the tournament organizers. Tiger's not going to do anything here. Scheffler's probably the biggest storyline. I mean, Rory's hot. Xander Schauffele came in really hot. Phil's still around. But I think Scheffler is kind of the guy to watch. So if you're the organizers, I can't imagine what that meeting's like right now. I'm sure they're trying to work with the police to get him back. You know, I don't think they're going to want to DQ him. I think they're going to take every step to not DQ him.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, I bet you the police don't want this either. They're not hunting to DQ golfers at all. I understand what they were doing. I'll bet you everyone's trying to work together to get it resolved as quickly as possible.
I would think so. Andrew Bogusch is here. He's been tracking the story with headlines. Are we pretty much up to speed on Scotty Scheffler and being detained?
Yeah, I think so. We're supposed to get an official PGA Championship update in 2 minutes on when they would resume or start the second round, but at the very least, it's an hour delay of start times, which were 7:15 Eastern. So 8:15 Eastern would be the earliest they could play,
right,
which puts Scheffler at 9:40 tee time Eastern if they start at 8:15, which seems unlikely. But yeah, I mean, whatever actually happened, no one was 100% innocent in all of this because he appears to have ignored or missed the sign to stop.
No doubt.
And by the way, I just want to put out the Louisville Metro Police Department confirmed a man was struck by a shuttle bus 5 a.m. while crossing Shelbyville Road. The man was pronounced dead on the scene.
Oh.
So unfortunately, there was a death during this fatal incident.
Well, now there's going to just be a shadow cast over this entire tournament because that is awful news. Wait, a shuttle bus?
Yes.
Like one bringing people associated with the tournament? I'm not trying to put you on the spot here.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the shuttle bus was doing, but that was according to Spectrum News, Louisville rather, and that was confirmed by police.
In the footage that we've seen, there are giant shuttle buses that are still there, right by where Scheffler was arrested. So maybe something similar to that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to other events where you park off-site and then you get on a bus and they drive you in because no course is built to hold all of the cars for a major. So that could have been what it is. Although at 5 a.m., that's early to be showing up at the course to watch. That might be workers.
You might have to with all the
crowds. Get online and rush in and find a spot.
Could be volunteers, people like that. Oh, gosh, this is awful. This is a terrible way for the round 2 to start.
Do they even play today with the rain and that? And I don't even know if they even play today.
That's interesting. Do you postpone the whole tournament, do a Monday finish?
I don't know that it's raining right now where they couldn't start. I think the issue would be is whether people are not on the course like workers enough to actually have the course operational.
And the players.
And the players having time to warm up.
Well, I don't think you could. It looks like there's thousands and thousands of fans showing up. You can't not play today.
Yeah, no, they'll play at some point today. Or they'll at least try to. Now, if it rains, I don't know the full forecast. If it rains and rains and rains, but they're not gonna wipe out today because of just of this.
Now, just another detail from the police: the man that was crossing Shelbyville Road. This happened around again 5 a.m. They say that he was in the dedicated bus lane when he was hit.
Jeez.
So I don't know why they would be in the bus lane, obviously, but that was according to police. The bus that struck this person, they were in the lane when it happened.
Oh my God!
And just so no one's confused, these are two. They're connected, but they're separate. The accident happened hours before the Scheffler thing happened, but he was driving around the traffic caused by this crime, this accident scene existing.
Yeah, it sounds like this was probably about an hour and a half difference. If this accident happened at 5, Scheffler incident seems like it was around 6:30. I feel like we were starting to hear reports of this.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Let's get to the NBA. And do you force Game 7 or get gift wrapped at one when the final is 115-70? A laugher in Minnesota last night. Anthony Edwards leading the T-Wolves with 27. Michael Malone's Nuggets were down at least 17 points for the final 31 minutes.
They hit us first, they hit us second, they hit us third. And so you give them credit. They did what they needed to do to keep this series alive and to bring it back to Denver for a Game 7.
And that Game 7 in Denver is on Sunday night. There is no Game 7 at the Garden tomorrow, even after the Rangers were down 3-1 in the third in Carolina last night. They scored the final 4 goals of the game, 3 of them from Chris Kreider over 9 minutes to win 5-3, take the series in 6 after leading it 3-0. The Canucks took a 3-2 lead on the Oilers with a 3-2 home win. JT Miller scoring the game winner with just 33 seconds left in regulation. If you need anything from EJ, you've got 2 months to get it. The return of EA Sports college football game now officially set for July 19th.
Will we ever see you again, EJ? That's it. It's been nice knowing you.
I know.
You've done a great job on the show.
I know. Resignation papers coming July 15th.
Can you get a system in that room? Could you play and produce at the same time?
Let's
Honestly,
not
why
ask
not,
that.
right? We wear a lot of hats here.
Colorado star Travis Hunter, Texas QB Quinn Ewers, and Michigan running back Donovan Edwards are the cover athletes. I believe we're getting full details from EA Sports sometime later today. And I believe there is somewhat of a frugal option if you buy this game and Madden. It's just $150 instead of like $190 for the 2 deluxe editions.
Wow, what a steal.
It really shows you how anticipated this game is, the NCAA or college football game, and how much Madden has fallen off. They basically we'll basically give you Madden if you do this deal with us.
Is that true though? Is Madden falling off? I don't know much about
the
video game
gameplay is terrible, but I think sales wise too, it's taking a major hit.
What's replaced Madden then?
There has been no replacement.
Just played less.
Played less.
It's the game has not been as good, and people have decided to not buy it.
Although, like the FIFA game does really well. Are people playing that instead of Madden because they both come out at the same time, like fall-ish?
I don't know if it's either or. I don't know if it's either or. I think and the NFL gave Madden the exclusive rights to do video games on the NFL, and we've seen now, because their games have decreased in terms of value, fans have just pulled away.
I hate to ask this, but are young people less interested in sports too, and more? I'm assuming
good question.
Shooter
more like
games
Fortnite,
are. Yeah.
I mean, there's a 2K league still. People still play 2K online.
Okay, so there are some sports games that are still good.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think just judging from my kids' experience, like there are kids who just play the video game that are then not watching, like they know who the players are, but they'll play Madden, but then not sit on a Sunday and watch games.
Definitely.
Like my son, if I let him, my son would play Madden for 3 hours, but he wouldn't sit and watch a Giants game with me for 3 hours.
But they also play a lot of non-sports games, I imagine.
Yeah. But like Madden is still a thing you play, even if you're not like a crazy football fan. Like
That's
people
funny.
play Madden for the sake of playing Madden, not because they love the NFL. At least in my experience.
And I actually think this is why I think this college football game is so important, because I think it will help college football immensely, because there will now be young people who will learn about college football because they're playing this game. That's how I got into it.
Now, this game, the college game, is using the Madden engine, right? So are we concerned about how the gameplay is going to be?
There's major concern about that. But then what was interesting from the details about this combined drop where you can get Madden and this game is they put in that Madden is now also being re-engineered as well. So whatever the Madden gameplay is, you hope is going to be better, so that when you play the college game, that if it's the same engine, it will be similar, But yes, when the only bad news that had come out of this was when they said that we're using the same engine as Madden engine, because that is not a good sign.
Let me give you a quick PGA update. Reading off the TV screen, they're now projecting an 8:35 Eastern start for the round. So that's an hour and 20 minutes later than scheduled, which then shifts back Scheffler's tee time to 10 a.m. Eastern, right? So
Can you get a dust up with the police over a traffic incident? Can you get that resolved if you're the world's #1 golfer in 2.5 hours?
I mean, my only guess is if the only way he could get back that fast with time to get ready to play by 10 is if they all very quickly agree that everybody overreacted and there's no reason to go any further.
Right.
Or is there any chance that the PGA Championship can move his tee time? I know.
No.
That sounds like a no.
That feels like a competitive advantage for him.
Yeah.
I guess. He's in the back of a cop car. I can't say he's has a competitive advantage, but it just feels like a major exception.
That's true, but I don't think we would kill the organizers because this whole incident is a major exception.
That's true.
I mean, you're right. I don't think it will happen, but if they moved him till 2 o'clock, I mean, I think there would be at least a rationale. It wouldn't be outlandish.
But does so he's playing with Wyndham Clark and Brian Harmon. Do all three of them get it moved back?
Yeah, you have to pick up the whole group, but this doesn't happen, and you know how much golf sticks to traditions and rules. Like if you're not there when you're supposed to play, you're SOL, and it doesn't matter why you're not there.
And I think that now that we have the unfortunate dark cloud of fatality, attached to this, it may also be even more, may look a certain way to be like, okay, the person that was trying to get around all this, we're going to also move their tee time so they can get back and play. I think that the optics of that, they would at least definitely consider before making such a rash move.
Oh, does it look callous?
Yeah,
right.
There's someone that died, which is essentially why there was this traffic incident, and Scheffler did not knowing this, of course, but still tried to get around this, and now he's in jail, and we're gonna move his tee time out so he can get out of jail in time. It just there's optics to that could look.
Do you
suspect.
blame him for not if he didn't understand the seriousness of the situation? Is that his fault? I don't know. Again, we're not sure if maybe a different security guard had said, go ahead. We don't know if the PGA people who are running it said, hey, just try to tell them who you are and get around it. Like, we have to hear all sides of this thing, but it's sad.
The only question I asked, which I asked last segment, is to me, and this is something only he could answer, I would assume driving to the course, which I didn't like. I've learned so much. I didn't even realize there was going to be a decent amount of drive to go from wherever you're staying to the course, or that you drive yourself in PGA. These are all things I'm learning. But typically, I would assume there's very little traffic getting to the course. These guys get there fairly early. If you see that there's some major slowdown, why then would you decide to just not plow through? That's not what he did, according to reports. But try to get around in a weird way.
Again, maybe someone told him, "Hey, just go on the shoulder and get to the gate, and we'll help you from there."
Wait. But in a normal situation, if there was a big traffic jam, I would think that a golfer would definitely go on the shoulder 100% of the time.
I'm saying though, how many times do they run into a traffic jam going through their tournament? I feel like it's probably rare.
Well, if you have a 2:00 tee time and you're staying off site, you're not getting there at 5 a.m. Are you?
No.
You would sleep
That's
in.
true.
I hope.
Or maybe some kind of escort.
And all
I
these
would
roads
think
are.
there was. I actually thought I was surprised. I'm like, I didn't know they drove themselves.
Exactly. Yeah, same here.
Yeah, they all have cars and stuff like that.
Maybe guys like driving themselves, a little
Sure.
normalcy,
Yeah.
something like that.
And I think it's worth pointing out, at least to me, that this happened literally at the gate. So he's thinking, I'm going to just zip out here, and in 3 seconds, I'm going to be at the security guard who let me in yesterday, and here's my badge. It wasn't like he was a mile away. And he's, we see people on highway traffic, zipping down the breakdown lane. He thought he was just going to get out of line and he was going to sneak right in at the gate, and all this happened.
So here's some interesting stuff from the chat. If you want to come in and join us, you can. YouTube.com/InfinitySportsNet, Twitch.tv/InfinitySportsNetwork, where on one side, Pine Needle saying, I'm telling you right now, the governor is on the phone and he'll be golfing in 2 hours. And then the other side is Louis saying improper lane usage, failure to yield to a police officer, resisting arrest, assault. I don't know if the assault, that seems like the police officer was kind of the more physical one, but all those things racked up. These are both sides of it, right?
Yeah, sure. I assume golf isn't like poker where Phil Hellmuth used to show up by the 4th round and just Scotty can't just come in and hold number 3 and be like, hey, I'm here.
In.
Yeah. What happened the last 2 holes?
Let's just assume he parred them.
Okay. I all these are really great valid points. I would hope that if it is a total misunderstanding on Scotty's part, that maybe the tournament works with him and moves his tee time back. I know that's not going to happen, but again,
well, maybe everything's on the table right
now.
now.
Maybe the cops will be like, listen, he really did resist, and then that's
then
it.
he's in
End
trouble.
of story.
Yeah, I really think that they don't want to set the precedent of moving a tee time for any reason. Would I put it past them to go, oh, we think it's going to rain? Because they were just showing the radar on TV too. If they try to delay it somehow else, not for Scotty, but
Cal Ripken style.
Give Scotty more time. Right.
Keep the streak alive.
Because then you're running it then guys who are sick or their back is tight, their car broke. This is always a thing. You've got, I was reminded the other day with Rory getting a divorce. There's a story where he was asleep in his room at maybe at a PGA, a major. And they had to go wake him up, and he ran to the first tee to because they just don't don't care what the reason is. You need to start when you're scheduled to start.
Here's some more from Pine Needle in the chat. The players get their own courtesy car from a sponsor of the tourney. They're usually back roads or side roads blocked off for players and volunteers at every tournament. Something's not right here. Well, definitely we know the something that's different. The something that's different is there was a fatal accident of someone, a pedestrian who was struck by a shuttle that had nothing to do with Scheffler, but that obviously throws everything into chaos. It's raining. It's early. You've got police trying to do their job. You've got golfers and people trying to get to the tournament. This is just one big cluster.
Yep.
Bogusch, thank you so much, and we'll be paying attention to the details here for sure. Coming up, lots more to do, including something that we left off of from the NFL schedule from yesterday. Perloff and I got a little meat on the bone here. And we're trying to make you a little money on the way. 855-212-4227. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Andrew Bogusch, lost in the fog of golf. Bogusch can't see his way. People are his voice in his ears every day. Tom Brady's glory, it's all too much. Andrew Bogusch needs a break. Bogusch has had enough of Pete. Freedom from Bilotti, that's what Bogusch needs. People he won't leave alone. His voice keeps ringing in his headphones like a drone. Oh, get out of Bogusch's head. People, can't you see? Bogusch trying to be free in the sea of noise. Let Bogusch find his peace. Oh, get out of Bogusch's head. People, road trip blues. Bogusch weeps. He's got the road trip blues. Left behind, feeling like he's bound to lose. Perloff's off to San Antonio. Can't believe his eyes. But Bogusch stuck at home. His heartache amplifies. Betting against Wembanyama, Perloff took the fall. But it's Bogusch left behind, feeling 10 feet tall. A loser in his own right, can't catch a break. Road trip dreams shattered, for goodness sake.
.30 seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Got some breaking news this morning, and that is... Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Got some breaking news this morning out of Valhalla Golf Course, the site of the PGA Championship, and that was Scottie Scheffler, the world's #1 golfer, being detained by police after he was involved with an incident with a police officer. This all stemmed from a different traffic accident that unfortunately was a pedestrian struck by a shuttle that has resulted in a fatality. It caused massive traffic delays, of which Scheffler tried to get around with his car in a calm way. It did try to get around the traffic. Cop tried to stop him. He didn't immediately stop. And then the drama sort of ensued from there, with Scheffler being pulled out of the car and then detained by police. The entire tournament has been postponed. So delayed, rather, until at least 8:30 a.m. And then Scheffler was expected to tee off maybe around 10 o'clock, Perloff, as things continue to get pushed back.
Yeah.
Now, Jeff Darlington from ESPN happened to be on the scene when all of this went down. So we have more audio from Jeff Darlington. EJ, set up, what are we about to listen to?
So this is Jeff Darlington. So after Scheffler has been handcuffed and is being taken from wherever he was to police vehicles, he is interacting with another police officer who is basically telling him, step back, basically. So there's a cop who's moving Scheffler to the police car, and there's another officer. There are plenty of officers there. There's one who's kind of telling Darlington to step back. So this is the interaction you're hearing as Scheffler
is getting arrested,
is being moved into the police car
and detained. Okay.
Guys.
Dude, step back. Back up.
I'm back. I'm back. Guys.
What do we tell you?
I'm staying back.
Here's the thing. Right now, he's going to jail.
Okay.
He's going to jail, and it ain't nothing you can do about it. Period. There's nothing you can do about it.
Okay.
Okay. Now, do you have
first,
a question?
I'm media. I'm a reporter. Okay. So that's all.
That's fine.
I just want to make sure that's known.
Okay, but you need to step back over here now.
No problem. You got it.
Okay.
Ooh.
Intense, right?
Yeah, it's a scary situation there.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I understand. We had a caller who called in before who owns a local newspaper. The cops are going to act differently if there's been a fatality anywhere near, right? And you would expect that. All of a sudden, things have escalated to the most serious it can possibly be. And so there's going to be probably heightened everything, Perloff, security, sensitivities, all of that stuff, because now we're dealing with a life and death situation. And Scheffler, obviously, didn't listen to the cop at first. And with the seriousness of the situation, this is what's going down. I just wonder, is there anyone who's going to step in potentially if this was a misunderstanding? With that cop saying this guy's going to jail, is there someone who tries to step in? I'm not saying anyone should be above the law, but is there anyone who tries to step in to say, hey, can we just have cooler heads here? Everything's settled now, and we can get him to the course.
The PGA is probably talking to the government.
That's what I would think, right?
There.
But the timeline is so tight right now.
It's very tight.
So they delayed the tournament, the start to 8:35, an hour and 20 minutes. I mean, this is, even if they're talking, they have to get this resolved and get Scheffler back on the course by. That feels really tough. This is a race.
The process is going to be the issue. Maybe not so much what happened. It'd be the process of getting him back there. If it's a total misunderstanding, now there could be something there that we haven't seen.
Right.
Well, what's going to happen, and this goes back to, I feel like, my local news days, is you're going to have district attorney or whatever the equivalent is of the Louisville thing. They're going to have to drop charges immediately. Basically, they're going to have to say, we dropped the charges. We have nothing to see here. Release him, and that could, in theory, maybe be done quickly. 4 hours, basically, from incident to when he's supposed to tee off, and then get back to the course and be on time to play. That's extremely tight,
especially this time of day.
Even this story being this massive, and the process, as Pete mentioned, that goes into like that happening. That's the next step. Is prosecutor has to say we're not pressing charges, so just release them.
And also, there's all this traffic. I mean, I don't know where the police station is. You actually have to physically get him back, get him to whatever hole it is. I don't know if it's the first hole or how they do it, but yeah, this is gonna be tough.
Well, you think if anyone could get through the traffic, it'd be the police. Isn't that what the sirens are for and all the?
Yeah, I know, but look at what's happening there. It's an unusual circumstance. The other thing too, I mean, this is obviously going to just put a shadow over this entire tournament.
Well, the fatality does that,
Yeah.
definitely. And then this misunderstanding and subsequent fallout is just really a crazy story. And what makes it even crazier is just Scheffler is kind of known for being this extremely mild-mannered person. That's his whole thing, right? Is he's this vanilla guy who doesn't show a lot of personality, just all really about faith and family.
Yep.
And that's his thing. And now this is a weird story because you wouldn't expect it.
And he comes off like a robot sometimes.
Yeah.
So no robot can get through this.
Wild stuff. Quickly, let's go to Ramon, who's in Indianapolis. Hey, Ramon.
How you doing? My favorite morning show, period, sports or otherwise. Full disclosure, I'm just about 60-year-old African-American male, and I probably haven't been stopped by the police since 2003 for a brand new car with a brand new M plate, and I hadn't done anything. And the police actually told me I didn't do anything. He just said that there was a rash of thefts in the neighborhood involving my particular model. I offered him to give him my paperwork. He wouldn't even look at that. This is something we've been talking about. It's could have gave the man a ticket and sent him on his way. This is discretion. My mother's an attorney. The police have the first line of discretion. If give him a ticket, most of these things are ticket infractions. Give him a ticket and send him on his way. He didn't hit the person. He wasn't involved in the accident. Give him a ticket. But we've been hollering this for the longest, and no one listens. Maybe this incident can be a public disclaimer.
Thank you, Ramon. I'm sorry that we're just up against the top of the hour. Can't do anything about this break. Interesting. Could they have just given him a ticket? We don't know. Again, all these details are still going to come out. We're following Scottie Scheffler being detained by the police for a traffic incident at Valhalla Golf Course. We got more details for you on the other side. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Dismay, no NBA on NBC, what a shame. Just JJ Redick's wine ain't the same. Peter Bellotti is getting upset. Maggie Perloff, can you hear this plea? Bring back the NBA on NBC. Set his spirit free. He misses Mar. Co-stars and the crew. Those were the days. Pete cries out, boo, boo. Bring it back, oh can't you see? Bring back the NBA on NBC. Let it be. Pete's mad, he's feeling sad. Bring it back, oh make it right. Peter Blatty's got something to say about Tom Brady and a roast on that day. He's angry and he's speaking his mind, saying Brady was out of line. Roasting Tom Brady, we took it too far. But Maggie don't care, she's a superstar. Said the kids need to learn to laugh at the pain, so we'll keep on joking, no need to explain. We may have crossed the line, but who's to say? Maggie's teaching her children to handle it her way, making light of the struggles, finding joy through the tears. With a sense of humor, they'll conquer their fears. Ha ha ha, let's laugh it off. Peter Blatty's got something to say about Tom Brady and a roast on that day. He's angry and he's speaking his mind, saying Brady was out of line. Should've known better, should've thought twice before agreeing to that roast. It ain't right, talking about his ex-wife crossing the line. Peter Blatty says someone needs to find that children shouldn't have to hear all of that. It's not fair to them, it's a matter of fact. Brady, you messed up, it's time. Andrew Bogusch, lost in the fog of golf. Bogusch can't see his way. People out his voice in his ears every day. Tom Brady's glory, it's all too much. Andrew Bogusch.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Well, we had NBA and NHL, CaitlinClark last night. All of this takes a backseat to the breaking news this morning out of Louisville, Kentucky, where the PGA Championship is being played, Valhalla Golf Course, and here's the latest. Scottie Scheffler is the world #1 golfer. He's been detained by police in handcuffs after a misunderstanding with traffic flow led to an attempt to drive past a police officer into Valhalla Golf Club. Jeff Darlington of ESPN was there. He was witnessing this whole event, and here is his firsthand account of what happened.
Entering Valhalla Golf Club this morning, we witnessed a car pull around us that was Scottie Scheffler was in the car. To be very clear about the details here, Scottie Scheffler has been detained by police officers, placed in the back of a police vehicle in handcuffs after he tried to pull around what he believed to be security, ended up being police officers. They told him to stop. When he didn't stop, the police officer attached himself to the vehicle. Scheffler then traveled another 10 yards before stopping the car. The police officer then grabbed at his arm, attempting to pull him out of the car before Scheffler eventually opened the door, at which point the police officer pulled Scheffler out of the car, pushed him up against the car, and immediately placed him in handcuffs.
Wild scene going on. What Darlington is reporting there from ESPN. It went further with Darlington there and Scottie Scheffler turning to the reporter and saying, "Can you help me?"
Scottie Scheffler, seeing me behind him, said, "Can you help?" The police officers instructed me to step back. I instructed that I was a member of the media. They walked Scottie Scheffler to the police car. A police officer turned to me and said, "You need to get out of the way." He told me, "There's nothing you can do. Scottie Scheffler is going to jail." He didn't use Scottie Scheffler's name because at that point they did not know.
Wow. I mean, we're talking about the world's #1 golfer. It's the second round of a major.
Yeah.
He is, This is wild. This is unprecedented. Now, we should mention the whole reason why this started is because there was a fatality. A pedestrian was struck far away from where Scheffler was. It had really nothing to do with Scheffler at all. But that's what sort of started and created this chaos, and now the shadow that's going to be cast over the PGA because that's so serious, obviously. But that was the first sort of awful domino that fell, and then everything else ensued.
You know, it's interesting, big picture, too. Scottie Scheffler just won the Masters, obviously. Is the number one golfer. Felt like it was starting to develop. He played well yesterday. Everybody played well yesterday. He's starting to develop, or people are starting to whisper, maybe he's the next one. Maybe, because we've been waiting for a new Tiger. And I think Rory was going to be that guy at one point. Jordan Spieth was going to be that one guy. A lot of guys have been possibly the next dominant golfer. I feel like Scottie Scheffler was headed that direction where people are, especially if he had won this tournament, I think people were going to say, whoa, we finally have a singular golfer. And this is a huge sort of break in that legacy building prospect for him. I think I know Rory was being watched a lot because Rory's super hot too, that maybe he wins this tournament. But Scottie Scheffler is maybe the most watchable golfer right now. So it's not just any golfer, you know. If Phil had been detained, that would have been huge, and obviously if Tiger. But after that, this is the biggest name out there.
You're so right about that. And he is the guy who is, this feels like going for history when he's playing in these tournaments as opposed to just going for the win. And also someone who it kind of feels like he's kind of hard to know. You know, he's a very private dude. This is not his fault. It's not a negative. It's just he's not really out there. He's not like a big social media guy, you know? And so it feels like a disconnect. Like this guy, like the Scottie Scheffler, the dude who everyone thought was just sort of boring and kind of vanilla, and now all of a sudden he's being detained in the back of a cop car. And here's another detail now. Again, the tournament has been delayed already to 8:30. Now, what we know is that it's also pouring rain there. And they'll play through rain, Perloff, but is the pouring rain and the potentially bad conditions, is that another reason maybe to delay this even further? And the more it gets delayed, is there more of a possibility that Scheffler could actually make it back onto the course if the powers that be want to resolve this as quickly as possible?
It might be the first time ever that a golf tournament organizer is praying for rain. Honestly, this is a big, because this is going to be a huge problem for the tournament. I think, and for the city of, what city is it? Louisville. And everybody here. I think that it's a fraught time for the world of golf because of the Live PGA split, and there's already tension on the course. Now you have this. I think this is, a lot of people are just really hoping that this gets worked out quickly, that somehow the police let him go and get him back there. It's not just a matter of dropping charges. It's a matter of how do I get him back to the course on time, because it seems like a mess there. Oh, my gosh. This is definitely, they want to delay it as long as possible, because if Scottie Scheffler's DQ'd, this story just gets bigger and bigger.
Well, but then there's a flip side of it, which is, you don't want someone to look like they're above the law. And even if Scottie Scheffler was cooperating eventually with police, there was a reason why he was stopped, and he's driving on the shoulder. And there's just so many more details that we have to know here. And according to Darlington, had another report, Scottie Scheffler said, "I didn't know you were a cop," was something that Darlington is reporting. So maybe there was some kind of confusion there, and maybe it was just some kind of security guard or someone who didn't know what they were talking about. And again, the traffic is so backed up because of this fatal accident that occurred somewhere else. He's thinking, I've got an 8:48 tee time. Sure. That was obviously before the tournament got delayed. But I have an 8:48 tee time. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. I got to do everything I can to get to the course.
No, I agree. No one's supposed to be above the law, but I think of athletes trying to get to a game, and this is, I'm sure of the history of sports, there's been a lot of this, normal rules don't apply. If you're on a team bus, I feel like everybody...
David Wells had the police escort before he threw a no-hitter?
And I feel...
Perfect game, rather?
Getting athletes to a sporting event, because things get crazy around the arena, you have to sort of... I feel like after this, I would hope tournament organizers are let's make sure we get our guys there on time and everyone's in communication. I actually did not know. I didn't know one way or the other that golfers drove themselves.
Me neither.
I do remember there was a story at, I think it was at Augusta, where Tiger was choosing between all these different Airbnbs, like where he was going to stay. Like, I guess, actually, there are logistics, like where do you stay at a tournament? I never even thought about that. If you stay half hour away, then you're adding a challenge. But I know, again, no one is above the law, but there is a certain exception for people trying to get to a game. And because I just picture a NBA team bus coming through chaos to get into the arena and all this. Like, it's a different thing.
I think today was just a real perfect storm. It really was, because you had this accident that happened. Then you have a guy who's trying to get to the course for an early tee time. Then you have this major traffic jam. It's raining.
Yep.
It's just every possible thing that could have gone wrong went wrong here, and it ends up with Scottie Scheffler in the back of a police car in handcuffs.
Now, the one detail I think that is important with this as well is, I mean, other golfers got there without having this incident with police. So I don't know if that meant other golfers did what he did and got away with it, or if they got there because they're golfers who were expected to tee up before Scheffler, or at
did
the same
they just
time
run into this one guy?
Yeah, he has a 3 group. He's in a grouping where other guys are just getting there in theory probably around the same time. So yeah, was this one officer who maybe was overzealous? Was this different than anything else they had seen from the other cars that were entering the course this morning?
Right.
Like you said, it was a perfect storm. An accident happens at 5. How many golfers were even impacted by this? How many of them got there before this even happened? I guess maybe we'll learn those details as the hours and days come along, but we'll have to figure that out.
Let's play the other audio from Jeff Darlington. So just to kind of underscore what was going on, Perloff, you said this before. You're so right. What a 2024 story that we have all this video now of Scheffler getting arrested and him being detained, rather, in the back of the cop car. So, and Jeff Darlington of ESPN just happened to be there, also trying to get to the course. Here's Darlington's footage he recorded on his cell phone.
Guys.
Dude, step back. Back up.
I'm back. I'm back. Guys.
What do we tell you?
I'm staying back.
Here's the thing. Right now, he's going to jail.
Okay.
He's going to jail, and it ain't nothing you can do about it. Period. There's nothing you can do about it.
Okay.
Okay. Now, do you have
first,
a question?
I'm media. I'm a reporter. Okay. So that's all.
That's fine.
I just want to make sure that's known.
Okay, but you need to step back over here now.
No problem. You got it.
Okay.
Wow. He's going to jail, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I wonder if that's going to end up holding true.
Yeah, and it's also, I mean, now we get into police interactions. I mean, if there's information that someone may have about this person, would you not want to know about it? I don't know.
What do you mean?
Like, so if someone's coming up to say, hey, I'm a reporter, and he's saying, well, he's going to jail, there's nothing you could do about it. That's, I mean, maybe that's fine, but like, I don't know.
It's a statement.
Right.
To a reporter that maybe one certain police officer shouldn't be able to state. Is that what you're saying?
Or like it will be scrutinized, I think, one.
Yeah.
And 2, there could be the concept of, well, maybe I want to know, okay, you're a reporter, like maybe you know something about this that we don't know. Because for them, they're probably thinking, who obviously, because they arrested him, threw him against a car, they're probably thinking, like, who the hell is this guy that's going on the shoulder and doing this crazy stuff? Like, clearly they don't know what's going on with Scott. At least that's my opinion.
They don't know that he's the world's number one golfer.
So my thing is like, well, maybe, like, would you want to know? Maybe what this reporter can tell you, some information. Hey, that's the number one golfer. He was going to the course.
Yeah, right. I mean, I wonder if at some point, and again, this can always, like, out of context, this can always sound bad, do you have any idea who I am? Which would always get you in trouble and nothing you should ever say. But I wonder if Scottie ever did tell them, like, hey, I'm not just trying to get to the course here. I'm actually playing in the tournament. And if that mattered, maybe the cops didn't care. So anyway, that's what's going on at Valhalla.
Yeah.
Crazy story. Besides that, got a golf tournament maybe happening today. Again, the weather is bad. It's supposed to continue raining throughout the morning. But Pearl, if they'll play through rain, it's just, is this maybe a convenient moment for the tournament organizers where they can say, hey, it's raining. Why don't we push this thing back a little bit? We'll play 36 holes tomorrow.
Well, I don't think it's going to rain all day. The problem is, I think you have a lot of fans already there, so you can't just delay the whole thing. And you don't need Scottie Scheffler there to have a great tournament. So no, I don't think delaying the whole thing to Monday is a possibility. It is going to pass. I think this rain. They're scheduled to play today. Total mess. Can you imagine being in the holding cell when Scotty Scheffler walks in? Hey, man, what are you in for?
Yeah. He's getting a prison tattoo.
Yeah. Well, that's going around on Twitter, a little teardrop under Scotty's eye. It is a perfect storm of awkwardness, too, because you're right, Scotty Scheffler is kind of a nerd. I mean, let's face it. He's I'm sorry, is that fair?
I don't know. Is there anyone on the PGA Tour who'd be like, well, I can understand why that guy got pinched?
No,
I don't think so.
Maybe not, but you mentioned no one knows him. Wasn't he part of that Netflix golf special?
Yeah,
and
I watched it.
His life was so lame that nobody even noticed that.
Lame. I mean,
no, like he doesn't go to fancy restaurants. He doesn't go to events. He doesn't go.
It's not a Met Gala kind of guy.
He's not a Met Gala kind of guy. Yeah, I mean, there's some bad boys at golf, right? All those.
John Daly.
I don't know. Ricky Fowler wears orange.
The way Phil's been moving lately, if you told me, he got
should have been in a lot more trouble in the insider
trading
stuff.
Phil show up in the holding cell and know 3 of the guys in there.
Yeah, a little white collar crime, I think, is more Phil's situation.
Phil has been connected to some investigations.
Yeah, and people we've interviewed, including Billy Walters, the famous notorious.
Phil wouldn't have run into all
bettor.
this. Jeff Darlington would have a video of him handing a couple hundreds to a cop, and that bad to say.
Getting out of it. No, you would not take a bribe. Let's go to Big Dave, who's in Kentucky. Of course, the warden himself. Dave, what's your read on this situation?
It's a mess. This is the most bizarre thing that I've ever heard. Like EJ was talking a while ago about, the court processing thing and about, district attorney in Kentucky. We have a district judge that does the arraignment on something like that. And I can tell you right now, if it makes it that far in the process, they're not going to be able to delay this round long enough unless the weather just cancels it. The only hope is that like a line level supervisor, like a sergeant or a lieutenant or something, intervenes and they're able to circumvent, the entire process. But and I think it was Ramon that called him or to me, like they should give him a ticket. Listen, wasn't there most of the time when something like this happens, it's because of a lack of communication. But if they're saying that they thought that he endangered, not intentionally even, moving vehicle in an area like that, if they told him to stop, they're not going to issue a ticket. I mean, officer safety and things like that are paramount in a situation like that, but it just sounds like a huge lack of communication. Unless you were there, I mean, nobody can say exactly what happened.
Dave, and you're in Kentucky and also a former law enforcement. So when Scheffler apparently said to Darlington, I didn't know, or Scheffler, apparently said to the cops, and Jeff Darlington witnessed this, I didn't know you were a police officer. Is that possible?
I don't see. If they said everybody, all the cops have rain gear on, apparently.
Right.
And, you guys have saw them. I mean, and most of them are even marked. I mean, if you have outer clothing, like rain gear, winter gear, something like that, almost everyone I've ever saw is still marked.
Yeah, it still says police.
I mean, how could you not say someone? If you got all these people running around, obviously in a position of authority with yellow raincoats on, why would you not assume that this guy with the yellow raincoat on?
Dave, I saw the bright yellow raincoat. Actually, I said they look less like cops wearing those. They look like traffic, the people that help organize traffic. I thought you can't see the uniforms as clearly because of that. Do you think is there anything to that they kind of because traffic people also wear bright yellow? Like the people who work for the tournament probably wear similar colors.
In a situation like this, Clevin, I mean, I would think in the middle of all this, I mean, you could obviously see there was probably, if this was a fatality, motor vehicle related fatality, I mean, the place is obviously crawling with cops, and they're all going to be dressed similarly. Probably most of them, if they're all like Louisville Metro PD members, like I'm assuming this guy was, they're all going to be dressed pretty much the same. So I mean, I don't see how you could not, or why would you not at least exercise caution? If someone told you to stop, don't go, and he's in the media, and apparently, it just sounds like it sounds like two things. A lack of communication and probably a little bit of a lack of judgment. And I'm not saying that the cop couldn't have been overzealous, but I'm just saying I've been in those situations, and they don't care about your ranking on the PGA, and they don't care about the tournament. Their primary concern is exactly what's going on in front of them at the moment.
Yeah. Dave, thanks for weighing in. Appreciate that. Have yourself a great weekend. So there is now circulating on social media a mugshot. I don't know if this is real. This is definitely looks rather official, but we have been tricked by the internet before. This is Louisville Metropolitan Department of Corrections, and inmate mugshot. Scotty Scheffler in an orange, wearing like an orange jumpsuit kind of thing. Male. Can we confirm this is his details? Anyway, I don't know if this is like a joke on the internet but Jason Sobel of
Golf Reporter, yeah.
Golf Reporter, a host, Sirius XM PGA Tour. He is retweeted and tweeted out a mugshot of Scotty Scheffler. And the timestamp on the mugshot might be important.
Yeah.
7:28 a.m. Louisville's in Eastern time. So if this would have happened around 6 or so, and then 7:30 get the mugshot. And
one more detail I'm seeing on Twitter, actually, Peter Burns, SEC Network, I guess he was there reportedly. He tweeted that a cop told him, and this is directly from Peter's tweet, there was a fatality involving a bus, and then someone tried to run over one of our cops. So there's this, it seems like the cops had the perception that, according to Peter, who's a longtime journalist and really knows his stuff, someone tried to run over one of our cops. So maybe the cops perceived that Scotty Scheffler was trying to run over this guy, which explains that there was a detail that a cop attached himself to Scheffler's car. So that kind of changes the story a little bit.
Yeah, but that's, again, these details are always kind of fluid because the other detail was that he wasn't driving recklessly. He was driving on the shoulder. So he was, yes, driving on the shoulder, but it was going slow enough that maybe anyway.
They perceived that the cop, that they were that Scotty endangered that cop, and then I can understand the sensitivity there.
So there is a tee time for Scotty Scheffler.
Yep.
10:08 a.m. Eastern. We got a tee time and a mugshot all at the same time.
There's a better chance I make that tee time than he does.
How often do you get a tee time and a mugshot?
That's unbelievable.
That within 5 minutes of each other.
There's something I believe, just my speculation that there's something there that we're not seeing, and that's why this is all escalated. And it has to be something with the officer being in danger. It has to be.
Maybe. So let's. Okay, we got 4 of us in here, and Bogusch will be in the next segment to do headlines. Do we think Scotty Scheffler will be teeing off at 10:08 a.m.? Call it now.
I'm leaning strong no.
No chance. No chance.
Yeah.
No. If he plays today, it's because it was delayed.
Right.
Okay.
He's not making the 10:08 time.
I kind of feel like Scheffler's going to be on the course today, guys. I don't know. Call me a little cynical about powerful people and what they can get done. But I'm kind of leaning that way. Anyway, 855-212-4227. So there you go. More details. We'll have them for you as they continue to come out. We also have some more news from last night. Not just the Timberwolves. Again, forcing a Game 7 feels a little strong there. They won by 40 points. Timberwolves, there will be a Game 7 between the Timberwolves and Nuggets, and also CaitlinClark in her second game. What went down? We've got details for you on that as well. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. We're staying on top of the Scottie Scheffler situation at the PGA. Man, now we're seeing more and more. Maggie, you mentioned it last segment, this mugshot of Scottie Scheffler wearing orange V-neck, I guess, prison garb. He's being charged. I'm reading, and I'm sorry, I can't totally confirm this. He's being charged with assault of a police officer, criminal mischief, reckless driving, and disregarding signals from an officer directing traffic. What was the time you said that we were doing yes or no? Does he make it by 10:08 a.m. Eastern?
He still has a tee time, despite now some mounting legal woes. I don't mean to make light of it, but he does have a tee time at 10:08 a.m. That's also weather permitting. It's raining.
Oh, that's a good point. That's an hour and 54 minutes. Can this possibly be resolved?
I mean, I don't think so. And obviously this stems from something very serious, which was a pedestrian who was struck. This has nothing to do with Scottie Scheffler, but a pedestrian who was struck by a shuttle, and that was fatal, and that caused this huge backup traffic jam, and Scottie Scheffler allegedly tried to kind of drive on the shoulder, not in a reckless, fast way, but did try to drive on the shoulder to get himself to the gates of the golf course for a 8:48 tee time, which obviously has been pushed back. And police stopped him, and he kind of didn't stop immediately, and then did, and then they pulled him out of the car. and arrested him. You had another video you saw of Will Zalatoris and...
again, these are hard because it's on Twitter, not confirmed, that some of the golfers had to walk the last half mile to Valhalla, which makes perfect sense.
That's the thing. Scheffler was driving himself to the course. You'd think if someone else was driving you, you could just say, hey, I'm going to get out and walk. You know, everyone's had that instinct in a traffic jam. Like, hey, I'm a mile from where I need to be. I'm just going to get out and run. But you can't ditch your car.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Can I read a tweet that I think is interesting about where this discussion is going to go? I mean, it's so early. There are a lot of facts. But you know Dan Rappaport used to be with us at SI, I believe.
Okay.
He's
From
a golfer.
golf?
He's the guy in that Netflix special, The Talking Head.
Yes, of course. Yes.
So he wrote on Twitter, he's a big golf reporter, just a full-on disaster for the PGA of America. A horrific accident that killed a pedestrian in the world #1 who's an angel of a human and a new father in jail for trying to get to the golf course. I mean, I think that points to, I mean, a lot of facts are out there, but that does point to, like, this is a huge problem for this tournament and for this city. Like you said earlier, like, are they ever going to go back to Valhalla? And the tournament itself is having this problem. The PGA and LIV is behind the scenes of everything. And now that they're the #1 golfer in the world can't get there, like, people are going to lose their jobs. I think the cops are going to get a lot of criticism, and they're probably going to fight back against that criticism. It feels like we're real time seeing a huge story with ramifications in sports.
Oh, it's fair. I mean, all of it's fair. And there's definitely, before even the Scotty Scheffler thing happens, there's a shadow and cloud over the tournament just because of the pedestrian who was struck and killed. I mean, that in and of itself is a horrible disaster. And then add everything that's happened since. Andrew Bogusch has headlines, more details?
Yeah, I mean, and one, I guess, of note, because we've been talking about the start time, which is now technically 10:08 Eastern for Scheffler. There is a rule. This is from Jason Sobel, who tweeted out the picture, that the mugshot that you guys have been talking about. Rule 5.3A on starting your round. Exception number 3 reads, committee decides that exceptional circumstances prevented you from starting on time. So there are avenues to have him start later in the day, but I can't remember any newsworthy decision like this. Now, obviously, this has never happened before, this particular situation, but other guys have been, for whatever reason, like unable to go when they're supposed to go, and they just don't play.
Right. So
do they hope that Mother Nature dumps rain on the course this morning? They give them more time to maybe figure this out?
You know, I think Perloff, I have no idea. And Perloff, I think you just made a really good point here. There's like, I don't know how much this plays in, but it's not like all the golf powers that be are like on the same page on anything. Right now, there's a lot of there's a lot of disconnects going on behind the scenes. You're right, because of the PGA LIV stuff and people stepping down and other people stepping in. So is this the worst possible time for something? It's never a good time for something like this to happen, but is it especially bad because like of leadership vacuums and stuff?
Feels like the sport is teetering on the edge already.
Yeah, but I don't know that this is affected by all of that, because this is just, there's still a commissioner and there's still
but the commissioner doesn't do this tournament, right?
But there's a PGA commissioner, and
right?
Then
Jay Monahan,
and there's still the PGA of America has people in charge of it.
Yeah.
And there's still Louisville police and the mayor, the governor. Like, I don't think the LIV golf issue, or that one guy who like dropped off the policy board, I don't think that makes it harder to handle this. I think the big hurdle today is striking the right tone, since this story involves someone dying.
Yeah, no, you can't make it seem like Scotty Scheffler is above the law, or that you're rushing him to a golf tournament.
To play golf after, when this all started because somebody passed away earlier this morning. I think that's where you have to. But it is a very valid concern that people are going to be pissed at Louisville PD and the course and the area, and are probably saying what you've been saying, like, we're not going to come back here unless this gets fixed in the next 45 minutes.
I do think, though,
that's happening.
I do think there is this notion that the organizers of golf don't know what they're doing. I think, and this feeds into that. And honestly, we watched that Netflix documentary. It's just a chaotic time. It feels like there's a vacuum of leadership. By the way, I do have an example of a guy who was late to his tee time and got penalized. I Googled this. Dustin Johnson in 2011 at Riviera got a 2-stroke penalty because he sprinted up because his caddy had the wrong start time by 45 minutes. and he was 2 minutes late, and they gave him a two-stroke penalty. He would have been DQ'd after like another minute. So you're right; they are pretty strict.
Yeah, and
everything I'm reading about DQing, if you're late to your tee time, you're out.
And this says you actually the exception that I read, there is no penalty for your tee time changing because of this exceptional circumstance, which having the wrong tee time is not exceptional for Dustin Johnson, which I think is why he got the two-stroke penalty. By the way, Xander Schauffele, who has the overnight lead, he has an afternoon tee time today. His 962 yesterday, the second time that he matched the lowest opening round score in major history. Did the same thing in the U.S. Open last summer. Tiger Woods' new tee time, thanks to this delay, is 2:49 Eastern at the earliest after yesterday's 1 over 72. So there was technically a Game 6 in Minnesota last night. The T-Wolves scored 20 straight points in the first quarter, had a 24-0 run in the fourth to shame the Nuggets, 115-70. That's the biggest postseason blowout since 2015. Chris Finch's team had lost the previous 3 games.
We talked a lot today just about getting our edge back, our swagger, playing a little more free and easy. We felt like we hadn't had our best effort on both sides of the ball yet in this series.
Game 7 in Denver Sunday night. The home team is 2-4 in this series. The Rangers were 3-0 against the Hurricanes, then lost 2 games, then trailed 3-1 in the third period last night in Raleigh, and then Chris Kreider happened.
They score! They score!
Professionals. They scored.
That's the second time in this series, right? That there was a major Dave Maloney, Sam Rosen. Sam is awesome.
Score! Score! Yes! Yes!
What team did Dave Maloney play for?
I love Sam Rosen, though. He's one of my favorites growing up.
Yes.
Score! Score! Yes! Yes!
They scored 4 times, the Rangers did, in the final 13-17 last night. 3 of those goals from Chris Kreider for a 5-3 clincher. And former Ranger JT Miller, the hero in Game 5 in Vancouver.
They'll flip it back into the Edmonton zone. Lindholm's after it right wing. Bottom of the circle. Centering pass. Pass off a skate. Rebound. They score! JT Miller!
The winner with 33 seconds left.
Nice sound editing there, Pete.
In regulation, the Canucks
that was a real cut.
A 3-2 lead on the Oilers with a 3-2 victory. Over 17,000 fans were in Indy last night for CaitlinClark's WNBA home debut. They did not leave happy. Clark just 1 3-pointer, 9 total points in a 102-66 beating from Pete's Liberty. But good news for all WNBA players. The league's plan for every team to fly charter to every road game will finally be in full effect by Tuesday.
There is no one feeling more pressure in their debut. I mean, I'm going to put Jackie Robinson in his whole other category of something that's way different. But there is, let's call modern sort of times, there's no person who's feeling more pressure in the rookie season than CaitlinClark. I can't even imagine. Not even LeBron. LeBron, his high school games were on TV. It was a big deal. I remember Bill Walton going to call his high school games.
Maggie, you're a big LeBron chick, right?
Yeah, that was weird. But he's not wrong. But Caitlin is like a totally different animal, I think, because
but I don't know if the dynamic's the same. But she's going from a wildly popular sport in women's college basketball to an unpopular sport in WNBA. I don't think everyone's watching like they did.
But I think that it's just what's on her shoulders in terms of raising where the WNBA is in our consciousness, what she was able to do for women's basketball and took it to a different level where my mom and your mom are watching the women's final, which is not normal for them to watch that kind of game. And it became this big event. Now they're expecting that she's going to continue to be the tide that rises and lifts all boats. And it's she's definitely struggled in these 2 games. We have no idea what the future holds for her. I'm sure she's going to end up being fine. But it just feels, she looks like the weight of the world's on her shoulders right now.
But when LeBron came in, everyone's he's got to be the best player. And maybe correct me if I'm wrong. People had big expectations for Caitlin, but did any realistic basketball people think she was going to be the best player? That's I think it's a different thing. I thought the big scorer, but not LeBron.
Well, maybe not the best player, but think about all the shrapnel that Cheryl Swoops and Diana Taurasi and Brianna Stewart, anybody opened their mouths about what CaitlinClark's experience in WNBA was going to be. those women take a lot of shrapnel.
Like, oh, she's gonna have, it's gonna be a tough adjustment, and it was like, how dare you say that?
Right.
The other thing about LeBron, and we know this later, LeBron was obviously super hyped coming to the league, but there was still a possibility he wouldn't live up to that hype. Nobody even entertained the idea that Caitlin wouldn't live up to the hype. It's like, oh, she's going to step on the court and she's going to be hitting logo threes, and who cares if they lose by 30 because she'll be launching threes. And that might still happen, but the first 2 games have been, not easy.
But if she can score 18 points a game, I'm down from 20, notice that?
Yeah.
Then it's fine. I mean, she doesn't have to win.
Well, here's the thing. Bogusch just did the story about the charter flights, right? And that's all the teams are going to have the charter flights, and this is not a disrespect to all the great women who have come before CaitlinClark, but they weren't getting those charter flights until she stepped on the floor, right? And so there's just so much more, I feel like, that comes with it. I just can't, I don't remember another person who had this much pressure the rookie year. Again, besides Jackie Robinson, and that's a totally different conversation.
I think to put it simply, if LeBron goes to the NBA and he's, a bust, the NBA moves on. Like the NBA still continues. There is no thought that the league, not that the NBA is going to fold, but it's going to set the league back in any way. He'd just be another number 1 pick that became a bust.
Right.
With CaitlinClark, there is a hope, and to some people, an expectation that the league will reach certain heights because of CaitlinClark. It's almost like Magic Johnson. It's almost like we need Magic and Liber not to save the leagues. I think WNBA is doing better than people think. But there's a hope that they could put the league on a different stratosphere, and if she doesn't reach that, then that's where the disappointment comes in.
Totally.
She's one of one. I totally agree with that. Like, you're right. LeBron, if he had been a bust, they would have moved off. Wemby had been a total bust, as I predicted and was wrong. And it would have been fine. You're right. Caitlin does have singular pressure. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It feels like she's wearing it. We're only 2 games in.
The game was on Prime last night. I mean, come on. Nobody noticed that struggle last night. I'm telling you, people are going to consume highlights of her. And as long as she hits a bunch
from last night.
I know, but I don't think it's like I stick by what I said the other day. Wemby didn't win a single game, and he was the story of the year.
That's true. There's something though about the hype of Caitlin too, and then if you're not delivering, like, are people still going to be buying the tickets, and are they still coming out? Do you still have to move venues so that you can get a bigger arena? Like, she will always be a role model for young women, young men. I mean, anyone. She's a role model and inspiration, but there's a lot of women in the WNBA who are like that. Caitlin was this you're right, like a singular phenomenon. Does that start to wear off if she's struggles?
Well, you and I disagree, though. She doesn't have to win. Whose record did she beat? Pete Maravich. Pete Maravich, I see a list of all-time great college players. He's 2 on a lot of those lists, behind Lou Alcindor. He was terrible. His team lost it almost like they were below 500. She is a scoring machine. That's what people want. I don't think she needs to win. And honestly, she's got to stop with all this passing and start firing up more threes and hitting some of them. I think that she can.
You got to get open in order to make threes. Or I
saw some highlights. She was missing some open ones too.
And she had a foul trouble.
I watched the whole game, and you're talking about Benaja Laney, who's one of the best defensive players in the WNBA, who's about 6'3", guarding her full court. It was tough, and when we get into the X and O, there are going to be some people saying, "Hey, what's this coach doing to get CaitlinClark open?" I see a lot of standing around. I don't see a lot of movement, so maybe there's questions about that. But you got to get open to get shots, and when she was covered by Laney, it was a major problem for her, and that's going to be something she's going to face. Those kind of defenders.
Does it matter that she did not talk to the media after the game last night?
I thought that was weird. I thought it was weird. I was looking for Caitlin cuts, and there were none.
Yeah, they didn't give a reason. They just said she didn't do it. And I kind of feel like she has to always talk after a game.
Yeah, I mean, maybe she can get away with being a rookie. And, do most rookies have to talk after every game in the WNBA? It looked like, from what I saw, there were only 3 players made available. And none of them were rookies. So that was when I saw that this morning, trying to figure out what Caitlin said after the game.
Yeah,
I thought maybe you can get away with, freshmen on the team doesn't talk. Maybe you can get away with the rookies doesn't have to talk every game.
Might be a little. If it becomes a pattern, it's going to get noticeable.
Yeah.
Maybe you give a pass for a game here or there, but
game 2, first home game. That's not the time to not sit down and talk about it.
I think you guys are a little close to the story. I think there are a lot of people out there who tuned in for Iowa in the tournament who are not going to follow day to day.
Well, they already dropped 10 million viewers from those games to her first game and went from 12 million to 2. I get that, but that's still 2 million was a record WNBA audience. And if she's going to sell the game, I don't know if she was
10
hiding
o'clock,
or anything, but
10 o'clock on a random Wednesday night or Thursday night is
But here we are the next morning talking about it.
We
and
are,
we don't
but
have
I don't think
Caitlin.
any. But this is
If
one
you
of
pull
those
up
stories
any,
that nobody
but
else.
if you pull up any sports site, and I'm doing it now, Pearl.
Yeah.
Number 2 or 3 headline is CaitlinClark struggles in home debut. Like I think the idea that nobody in the world is going to know that a tree fell in the forest because CaitlinClark had 9 points. People are going to find out even if they're not looking for it.
We'll see. We'll see. I think the level of fandom for all sports is different than sometimes we imagine. Anyway.
Bogusch, thank you so much. We'll get back to our top story, and that is Scottie Scheffler, the world's #1 golfer, detained by the police. We've got the details for you in just moments. Stick around.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, Infinity Sports Network. Okay, we've got even more details for you on the breaking news this morning. If you're just getting up, just getting in your car, just getting going. The world's number one golfer, Scottie Scheffler, was detained, charged, and now we're seeing released from a Louisville police station for a traffic incident that happened on his way to Valhalla Golf Course. There was a major traffic jam that was caused by another accident, one that had nothing to do with Scottie Scheffler. That was a pedestrian who was struck and fatally killed. It created this massive traffic jam, and as Scheffler was trying to get to the course to get to an early tee time, he kind of skirted the traffic, got an encounter with the police. Police told him to stop. He might not have stopped immediately. They eventually pulled him out of the car, put him in handcuffs, put him in the back of a police car. He was then taken to the station. There was a mugshot that was released online. Then there were charges that were handed down, including second-degree assault of a police officer, which is a felony, third-degree criminal mischief, reckless driving, and disregarding officer directing traffic. Now, all that, Perloff, and we're hearing he's been released.
You know, I'm trying to find Randy Scott at ESPN, who I think is on SportsCenter duty right now.
Yeah.
Says Scottie Scheffler has been released and is expected to arrive at the PGA Championship at 9 a.m. Eastern. His second round tee time is set for 10:08 a.m. Although, as you mentioned, the rain might push that back even further. And this is Randy Scott's reel. I'm not seeing it widely reported, but that seems pretty straightforward.
Well, so is he going to play golf today? Is that
well,
what
that's
this is
what
kind of
Randy's
insinuating?
implying.
That he's playing golf after all this went down? Wild story that we're keeping you up to.
You know what? Why that's really hard for to believe is the orange shirt. Like if he had been arrested and booked and he was still wearing the same outfit, then okay, maybe they do it quickly. But to make him change shirts makes it seem like it's not quick at all.
Like if you're going to change into an orange jumpsuit, the idea is you're kind of sticking around for a while.
Exactly. That's what I thought.
Well, maybe initially that was the plan, and then that changed with some phone calls being made.
Maybe some phone calls, maybe some, who knows what's going on.
Right.
But we're up to the second on this thing. Let's hit Mark. He's in Santa Cruz. Got a thought on this? Hey, Mark, good morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
We're good. What's up?
How's the morning?
Oh, we're good. What do you got for us on Scheffler?
Well, what I wanted to say is he's going to be he'll be real lucky to get out of there in 2 days. As far as I'm concerned, they might hold him for a couple of days.
Well,
yeah, because I'm just saying the offense wasn't that he was. But anytime you get an interact, now I'm not a judge or a policeman, but I've been in a little trouble when I was a kid, and quite frankly, anytime you get engaged with a police officer, they're going to hold it to you.
Yeah, Mark. Yeah, appreciate that. Maybe a little different, world's number one golfer and you, but
yeah,
I digress.
Now there's widespread reports that he's being released and he's expected to now it's everywhere. He's supposed to arrive at Valhalla at 9 a.m. Eastern in 9 minutes.
How is this happening?
10:08 tee time.
Guys, we went around the horn and said, do you think he's going to play golf today?
You nailed it. Yeah,
Not
you nailed
to pat myself on the back here, but I've noticed a thing covering sports and covering powerful people.
Oh, stop. Don't do a victory tour. You had no idea. Then the next segment, you're like, there's no way. When you saw the orange shirt.
I was a little nervous.
If you're not watching on YouTube, she literally just patted herself on the back. Get out of here.
I was going to dust off
Get
my shoulder.
Out of here.
I'm not going to lie. I think that's a little ridiculous.
To be playing today.
Yep.
It's a lot.
I agree.
I mean, don't we have to get to the bottom of the details here? We need both sides.
Well,
on
there's
this
a
one,
lot
don't
of
we?
video of this. It seemed we've all been around accidents like this. It doesn't seem like this kind of stuff does. I've seen this play out a million times where there was cops stopping a road and people in cars got mad and got aggressive because they've been sitting there for a long time. So it's not the most unusual incident.
Well, I just want to know what I want to know is what was the interaction like between him and the police officer? Was, what happened there? Was it respectful? Was it disrespectful? And how did that really go down?
It's also clear the police did not know who he was. There was definitely, I saw one of the reporters said that the police asked, who was that we just arrested? So not who he was, like he's number one. Maybe they didn't know he was a golfer. So who knows?
You would think if you're Scotty, not to do you have any idea who I am, but you would tell them, hey, I'm playing in this tournament. I'm not just trying to get out of a traffic jam because I want to be the first one in the beer concession line.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear from the police too, because they obviously have their side of the story, exactly what happened, and maybe this all goes away in some way.
What's weird though is it feels like him being released and processed so quickly doesn't match up with the seriousness of the charges.
Yeah, right.
So and then being in a jumpsuit and all that stuff. So you have these charges where one of them being a felony, assault of a police officer. I don't think I go into detail how serious that is. So you have assault of a police officer charges. And
second degree, yeah.
Second degree. That's a felony in Kentucky. And then we released them in 2 hours.
Going to be on the golf course in 9 minutes.
Something about that doesn't seem to add up. Now, I think we all kind of know.
This is why you're the newsman, EJ.
Well, yeah, I think it feels like there's definitely calls that were made, but you'd almost think that, okay, you're going to lessen those charges or drop those charges before you release them.
But charges get dropped all the time, right? I'm going back to my jury duty days.
Absolutely. But to have those charges and not drop them before you release them in 2 hours, that's the part that's weird. They told me he gets there and then prosecutor, that's what I said earlier, prosecutor says, I'm not charging him, leave him alone.
That's possible.
That's possible, but they're acting like no, like he's going to eventually have court dates to deal with and stuff. Which you released him in 2 hours after assaulting a police officer? How does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, boy. Okay. More details as they come with world number one golfer Scotty Scheffler was detained, charged, and then released by Louisville police as he is participating in the PGA Championship of Valhalla or a traffic incident with a police officer. Okay. More in just minutes. Stay tuned. We've got all the details for you right here. Where else? Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, well, this is a doozy. You're just getting to your day, getting started. Well, we've got some news for you, and this one is odd and sad. PGA Championship happening in Valhalla Golf Course in Louisville, Kentucky. There was a pedestrian who was struck and killed early this morning around 5 a.m. Now, in a totally unrelated incident, the traffic jam from that unfortunate situation led to a backup where even the golfers were having trouble getting to the course. Scottie Scheffler, the world's #1 golfer, was one of those people who was having trouble getting to the course. He then went up onto the shoulder reportedly to try to circumvent traffic, and that's where he encountered a police officer where there was a confrontation. The police officer allegedly told him to stop. He wasn't going fast, but didn't stop immediately. The officer then pulls him out of the car, puts him in handcuffs, arrests him. That's the first part of this story, and that all happened around 6:30 a.m. Eastern. Since then, Scottie Scheffler was taken to a Louisville police department. He was charged with second-degree assault of a police officer, which is a felony in Kentucky. He was also charged with third-degree criminal mischief, reckless driving, disregarding a police officer, and was given a mugshot, which you can see right now on the internet in an orange jumpsuit. And that's the second part of the story. The third part of the story is that Scottie Scheffler, world number, has now been released by the police, and he is expected to return to Valhalla Golf Course and presumably to play golf today. Perloff, did I leave out any details there?
Gosh, I don't think so. But it's amazing. This story keeps surprising everybody. So probably there's way more to it than we even know. Which it's funny. It seems like a pretty simple story because we have so much detail. There were so many media people around. It wasn't just Jeff Darlington and ESPN. I guess other media people were there when it all went down. So it does feel like at least the facts are somewhat cut and dry. So not that it makes any sense that it went as quickly as it did, but maybe that's why they were able to release him so quickly because there's no contention about what happened.
Right. I guess, to be charged with something that is second-degree assault of a police officer, which is a felony in Kentucky, but then to also be released and headed to a golf course all within the matter of about an hour and a half, that kind of doesn't compute. Now, if you want a little bit of a little more flavor of the story, here is Jeff Darlington from ESPN is covering this tournament, and he happened to be there as this is going down between Scheffler and the police officer. He shot this video on his phone.
Guys.
Dude, step back. Back up.
I'm back. I'm back. Guys.
What do we tell you?
I'm staying back.
Here's the thing. Right now, he's going to jail.
Okay.
He's going to jail, and it ain't nothing you can do about it. Period. There's nothing you can do about it.
Okay.
Okay. Now, do you have
first?
a question?
I'm media. I'm a reporter. Okay. So that's all.
That's fine.
I just want to make sure that's
okay.
known.
But you need to step back over here now.
No problem. You got it.
Okay.
Okay, so that was just a little of what was going down on the scene where it seemed like the police were at least maybe didn't know that it was Scottie Scheffler. We're not even sure if they knew, let alone that he's the world's number one golfer. Did they know that he was playing in the tournament? I mean, how much miscommunication happened this morning to lead to where we are right now?
We don't know. I mean, we don't know the facts. I got to be honest, and I'm trying to read the temperature of at least what I'm seeing out there. It does feel like the cops are getting some criticism. I feel, they're there to sort of help the situation. And here's a question. What if Jeff Darlington wasn't there pointing his camera? Did that put pressure on the cops? A good reason to have, or does it put pressure on Scheffler? Good reason to have live journalists, by the way, something that nobody wants to pay for anymore.
Well, here's the thing, though. They did end up taking it to the police station. So I don't know how it definitely didn't de-escalate in the moment with Jeff Darlington.
Yeah, but you don't think the head of the police department is reading what's happening on the news, that all this is on video, and if there was no video of anything, then the police probably could have had a little more leeway, I would imagine.
I don't know.
I'm speculating. You're right.
It's just a crazy story. It's a crazy story. It's a crazy situation. And there's a couple things. One, Scottie Scheffler is also kind of known to be the most mild-mannered, sort of milquetoast. He's been criticized for not being more of a big personality. So the fact that he's the guy who ends up in the handcuffs in the back of the cop car, he's not at least outwardly known to be a hothead or someone who would fly off the handle. So that's another part of the story that makes it a little bit more kind of like, what? A little confusing. And then the second part, let's not forget how this story started, which is a tragedy, which is somebody who was struck and who was fatally struck. And so the idea that we're just going to go on here, golf as usual, whether Scottie Scheffler's playing or not, is also part of this that feels a little bit odd because there's certainly a shadow that's going to be cast over this tournament. How could it not?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because we seem to know less about the fatal accident that involved the
tragedy.
Yeah, involved a shuttle bus, which we don't know. Was it involved with the PGA event? Were they going to the PGA event? The pedestrian that was on this road, were they a fan? Were they a staffer? I mean, we know literally none of those details as of now. Unless, forgive me, those are out. But I've been looking, I haven't heard anything. But we know everything about the Scheffler thing, except for probably one thing. We mentioned having a reporter on scene, which that definitely I think was good that we had that. The police body camera is going to be crucial here, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Because we're going to see,
however,
how fast he was going, how long was he on that hood of that car, and those details.
So forgive me for interrupting there, but there's also, it's raining, it's pouring at
they
Valhalla.
have those traffic vests over.
They've got those coats on.
Yeah.
So everyone's wearing those bright yellow coats that the cops will wear at night. So this is a wild story. Now, here's the question. it is tragic because of how this all started. I'm not surprised that they're continuing to play the golf event. Pete, I know this is not sitting right with you that they would even play golf today, considering how this morning started.
It's a totally outrageous stance to keep playing golf.
Insensitive?
It's very insensitive. It's very insensitive. It's a very.
You mean for the entire field or just Scotty? I'm sorry.
I think the whole thing. It's a unique situation. It's probably for a better choice of words. He gets arrested. There's a person was killed today, and you're gonna go play. You're gonna go play golf and talk about it. I think it's a little insensitive. I think you delay it and you come back tomorrow. And the people, look, we've had weather delays and we've had all these delays where people go home. They can go home.
Yeah, buyer beware, right?
That's right. That's what happens.
I just don't know, and I appreciate what you're saying there, and I think in a perfect world, maybe is that the most sensitive thing to do considering the seriousness of this. But I don't know if we would ever hold another sporting event to that same standard. Like if somebody, was killed outside the Timberwolves Nuggets before Game 7, I think they're still playing that game.
I think it's very different.
Well, it's a traffic accident, though. I'm sure there's many cases of traffic accidents.
Right.
But what you're saying is it was so close to the tournament, it was a pedestrian. Yeah. I do think there's probably been major events that have had traffic. If somebody's tragically in a traffic accident on the way to the game, they're not going to delay the game.
Well, there's been many things like that in the past, but this is this is a unique case. This happened. A lot of video of what was going on with Scheffler, and it was right by where this accident took place.
Yeah. Well, to me, what's kind of crazy is why does Scotty Scheffler want to play? Like, part of me be like, maybe just sit this one out, go home to your newborn. I think. Honestly, I'm not sure I would be able to focus enough. And maybe Scotty Scheffler, he must consider, maybe it's all moving so fast he doesn't even have time to weigh the pros and the cons, but he has to be considering pulling out as well.
Well, and we're talking about a Scotty Scheffler who was arrested, charged, and then released after a traffic incident between him and a cop outside of Valhalla Country Club, Valhalla Golf Course. So, we mentioned Scheffler kind of has a reputation of being a bit of a robot, or maybe athletes are so conditioned to just, muscle memory to just get back on the course. I mean, second-degree assault of a police officer. That's not how the story was being portrayed by Jeff Darlington and others. How it was being portrayed by Darlington, who was an eyewitness, was that Scheffler, again, went around traffic, was on the shoulder, cop told him to stop. He maybe didn't stop right away, but about 10 yards later, and he was going slowly. The cop pulls the door open, pulls Scheffler out of the car, and throws the handcuffs on him. And that's not second-degree assault of a police officer.
Well, yeah, but if a cop is banging on your window and you don't stop the car, it does seem on some of the reporting, Scheffler did not know that was a cop because of the yellow vest.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know. If a cop is banging on your car or even gets on, I don't know if he got on the hood of the car, and you don't stop, like in a normal, can you picture if there was a cop banging on your window, I would stop and pull down immediately.
Of course. And again, this is, I think there might have been, and we're now filling in gaps here, but, his tee time was scheduled for 8:48 a.m. He might not have any clue that the traffic accident was caused because of this tragedy of a pedestrian getting struck. So he might think, oh my gosh, there's a traffic accident, or there's traffic, excuse me. I don't know why. I've got to get to my tee time. He's driving himself in the car, so he can't ditch the car, where we saw that perhaps other golfers had to walk the last half mile to try to get to their tee time.
Well, that's where the timeline comes in, because if your tee time's at 8-something, this whole incident happened sometime between 6 and 6:30. And as Bogusch has been mentioning a bunch this morning, you're essentially right near the gate. You're either at the gate or, I heard earlier, 50 yards away from the gate.
Right.
Why? I mean, like, there is no, I got to rush to my tee time at 6:30. Now, maybe there's a routine you want to do. Maybe there's mental stuff, whatever. But, I mean, it's not like this was like you're half hour away and you got to get on the golf course. Like, if he's at the golf course, it's like a player in the NBA. Like, it's 2 hours for tip-off, and, like, you get arrested 2 hours before. You have time to get there.
I know, but it's like, guys, their routines are crazy. Maybe he's getting treatment on something we don't know. I mean, I know Tiger Woods, they said, well, his treatment is crazy because of his injuries. But he wakes up at like 3 o'clock in the morning to get these treatments done. So I don't know. But again, that all pales in comparison to what happened this morning with this tragedy, but we're also just monitoring the lightning speed. And forgive us, because I know Perloff is very proud of his paralegal work.
Oh, yeah.
But none of us are lawyers or would understand, is this a normal timeline of processing, of arresting, charging, processing, and releasing somebody? I mean, obviously Scottie Scheffler's got the bail money, clearly.
Right. No, I mean, obviously it's a special circumstance, too. The guy's competing in the tournament, and the whole city is focused on this tournament. I mean, you can't compare it to any other kind of... that's wrong of me to say, but you can't compare it to a normal arrest.
Well, I think the difference, though, and that's what I said earlier, is it's the charges. It's like, okay, if you see something that's a traffic citation typically, and he got out in 2-3 hours, I think everybody would be like, oh, yeah, we understand that. He has felony charges of assaulting a police officer, but we're free to let him go.
And might play golf today.
And play golf. Those don't add up, which makes me wonder, is there a deal that's maybe already in the process, or maybe it's already been made that those charges will be dropped?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would assume, but that's the disconnect that I think I and other folks will have, will be, how does someone get released, detained and released so quickly for a charge that seemed to be so serious? The other thing I want to say just quickly is, we mentioned whether the PGA should be playing, and we have to mention whether Scottie Scheffler should be playing. I think the PGA should say, Scottie, you got to take a seat. I think that is very touchy to have all this stuff happen and have him go out there and play. And what's going to happen is, once he comes out and plays, he ain't going to talk about this incident. His lawyers are going to tell him, don't say anything about the incident. He's going to go in that press conference, post-round interview, and say, yep, I'm referring that to my lawyers. I got nothing to say on that.
I bet he doesn't even do press, not to interrupt you. I bet he doesn't even do press after the round. And
that's terrible.
Fine him. What does he care? Fine him $10,000 for not showing up to talk to the media. I bet that would happen.
No, I don't think the PGA. I think the PGA is going to feel culpable in this. They did not do a good job of making sure their golfers got into the tournament. So I don't know if they tell him to sit down, because they look bad already. I think they're going to end up wearing a ton of this for being totally disorganized.
Sorry, I jumped on you. Great point. Great point. They look bad.
They look bad. Everybody's going to look bad. But wouldn't it be, this could ironically probably be the most viewed PGA day in a long, long time.
Andrew Bogusch just popped his head in. He's back. Scheffler's at the course.
Yeah.
Tee time, 10:08.
He's playing, baby.
Sheesh.
It's so funny, too. Let's not forget, there's a lot of monies being gambled on Scottie Scheffler right now.
Bogusch, come on in. You got the latest.
So you guys can refresh my memory. When the video of him being arrested, he's wearing shorts and a hoodie, right?
No, it was a polo.
Like a polo, right?
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out if he had changed into his playing gear
in the back of the cop car.
Because he just walked in a polo, but I couldn't tell. I didn't see the bottom half of him, so I don't know if he's still in the shorts or he's somebody brought him his outfit for today and he changed on the way. But he is there in time theoretically to be ready to play.
Is he warming up on the driving range?
I'm not. He's only been there for 3 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
he's there.
I do not think they should let him play.
Well, who should not let him play? The PGA?
PGA should not let him play.
Not the PGA, but the organizers.
The organizers, whoever
it's
the
so
tournament.
Confusing, it's called the PGA Championship, but it's not a PGA tournament.
I think the tournament has to say, you got to take a seat.
There's a lot of jokes going around that he accidentally grabbed Ricky Fowler's outfit while he was in prison.
And that's why it's orange?
I mean, the funny thing about that's good. I know we're laughing about that orange. Why the cops made him put on that orange shirt is going to be a big part of this story. People are going to think the cops came in too heavy.
Well, maybe it's procedure in Kentucky. Yeah, because there's definitely celebrity mugshots there. Frank Sinatra's got the famous one where he's in a tuxedo, or if Paris Hilton is still in her party clothes from that night or whatever. Why did he have to be in the orange jumpsuit? Again, maybe it's just a Kentucky thing. Also, I've been told that we may or may not have been pronouncing the city where the tournament is happening wrong.
Louisville.
So it's Louisville, not Louisville.
Oh, come on.
Although
Sorry.
It does remind me of one of my favorite David Letterman lines where he had a guest who was from Louisville, and he said, just tell me, how do you pronounce the capital of Kentucky? Is it Louisville or is it Louisville? And the guy goes, well, Dave, it's Louisville. And he goes, I'm sorry, it's Frankfurt. 855-212-4227. Letterman was the best. Okay, so we've got more updates here. Scottie Scheffler back at Valhalla. What a wild morning. And a tragic morning, too, because a pedestrian was struck and killed. So this is a bizarre story, to say the least. We've got even more details for you on the other side. Just sit tight. We're back in a minute.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
We're back on Maggie and Perloff. If you haven't been following, world number one golfer Scotty Scheffler arrested by the Louisville Metro Police Friday morning because of a traffic incident outside the golf course. Has been released, is back at Valhalla. Maggie, I don't think we have word confirming that he's going to tee off, scheduled for 10:08 a.m. But man, this story is moving fast. Every second there's an update. Incredible.
How many times in the history of the world do you think that somebody got their mugshot taken on the same day they play a round of golf?
It feels like Lawrence Taylor may be someone that fits into that bill, potentially.
More often than we think, or less often than we think? Well, white collar crimes.
I feel like Donald Trump might have teed off that day with a famous shot.
Yeah,
but that was a scheduled mugshot. I don't think he just it was pulled off the street. I think he anyway. Regardless,
yeah,
they're probably
it's like that's a rare day. Like, how was your day, honey? Athlete? It's like, well, I shot 3 under and I was arrested this morning.
Or Happy Gilmore, maybe.
yeah.
Don't mean to laugh because this actually did start in a very tragic way with a pedestrian who was struck and killed, and that's what caused this big traffic incident that then led Scotty Scheffler to try to circumvent police or try to drive up on the shoulder a little bit, and that's what got him stopped. So the whole thing really starts from this really awful tragedy. And again, you just said it, Perloff. Then the story has just moved so fast since then. You know, he was put in handcuffs. He was charged, mugshot, released. Now he's back at the course with a 10:08 a.m. Eastern tee time. Our heads are spinning here. Carla is in Idaho, has a question about this. Good morning, Carla.
Good morning. How are you this morning? It's a weird day.
I know. We're trying to piece all this together. What do you have for us?
Yeah. There's so much I could say, but I'm going to just ask this one question of, yesterday I was on my way to an appointment, and I realized I started a little late. So I called and I let them know I was on my way. Isn't that something he could have done? He could have called, especially being stuck in traffic. He could have done that.
Carl,
that's what I'm wondering.
People are wondering that. It's a fair thing, and beyond that, and thank you for the phone call, was there a communication sent out by the tournament? Hey, there's a major traffic jam, a major incident has happened, and, tell the police you're with the tournament, or, maybe another officer, further down the road said, hey, just go get on the shoulder and go this way, or who knows what happened. I can't imagine a police officer would say that, but you know what I'm saying?
Totally. It feels like Scheffler, from what we know, could have handled this way better. I do understand in the sort of fog of a traffic jam. First of all, you get really anxious, and he's supposed to get this tournament. He might not have been thinking straight, sleep deprived, not just having a kid. But that might be a bit of a joke. But I do understand, like, in that situation, it's really hard to know what's actually happening. And Scotty Scheffler was probably in a mild state of panic. Am I going to miss my tee time?
Totally. And it's kind of unforgivable when you do miss those tee times.
That would be, right. Like, for him, like, that's the worst thing that could happen today. He probably was not thinking straight. Not an excuse to not respect an officer, but I can understand it being a crazy situation.
Well, and I think your point is a good one from earlier, which is the golf course also looks kind of bad here. Or just the people own it and run the tournament. Now, it's an unprecedented situation to have this sort of fatality, 5 o'clock in the morning, round 2, it's raining, you've got a million things to deal with. Yet at the same time, like, getting the golfers and making sure everyone is safe, a lot of people have to wear that, no?
Oh, absolutely. No, there's so many people who are going to end up looking bad, potentially. Scheffler, the police, and the organizer of the tournament all right now look bad.
Let's go to Gary. He's in Jacksonville. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, guys. You just can't trust those professional golfers. They're reckless lawbreakers.
That's what we always say, especially Scheffler, that guy known for being a bad seed. No, we kid. He's like the most mild-mannered person allegedly on tour.
Yeah, I was just wondering what possible fines could the PGA Tour institute, because of course they never release fines or suspensions. But my other thing, guys, quick, I wanted to talk about the Dolphins' schedule. Why don't the Dolphins get any hot day games? They have to play 4 bad weather games from week 9 on. Only one hot weather game in September. That's against the Jaguars. Same thing last year. They spent 3 out of 4 on the road. To be fair, don't you take away a lot of the Dolphins' home field advantage of teams wilting in the fourth quarter where the Dolphins practice in that weather? If the Dolphins have to play in cold weather, isn't it fair that other teams have to play in hot weather? Especially, no team in the division is playing in Miami in September. I want to hear your thoughts. The Buffalo games at night, Tennessee games at night.
Yeah, but
doesn't that take away a lot of the Dolphins' advantage?
Yeah, Gary, but and thank you for the call. As a Bills fan, I can complain that the Bills don't get to pull anyone out into cold weather.
Oh, you can, but they screwed it all. I totally agree with Gary. It was one of my first thoughts. I'm like, how they just screwed them. They're like, they know about that advantage with the way the sun points and took it away.
So I think the one game that people are, 2 games that people are kind of saying is the Thanksgiving game. That's at Green Bay. They're talking about the Cleveland game. So that's Sunday, December. I don't know.
They're talking about the Bills game. They're specifically talking about that with Miami. He's like, week 2, the Bills have to play at night in Miami. They don't get to have to go down in the sun. It does seem unfair.
A Thursday night game, yes. Yeah. But he was saying at the end of the season too. What are those? The San Francisco game is at 4:25.
Well, no, they go to Cleveland and to New York the last 2 weeks, so they have to go into cold weather.
Well, they also get to go at Houston, which is a dome.
They shouldn't be built just for warm weather.
I know it's not the noon sun, and I know they made the stadium so that the road team is in the sun, but I've been in that stadium on a Saturday or Thursday night for a football game.
Still hot.
It is still scorching.
No.
It's Miami.
You get a huge advantage when one side is in the sun. I mean,
I know.
It's crazy.
No, I know for sure.
I think it's a big difference.
But to me, it's already kind of an unfair disadvantage. They set up the stadium the way they did. I mean, they still got to play in what's going to be 90-degree weather.
I kind of like it the way they did it. It's just such a great home field advantage.
The other team's out there in the blazing sun and the Dolphins are in the shade. But here's the one thing where maybe, and I'm not trying to paint this rosy for Gary, but the issue last year was crazy. They played in like negative 30-degree weather. No team should have to play in those conditions. But maybe this helps the Dolphins get a little battle tested here. Your Thanksgiving night at Green Bay, then you do have to go to Cleveland in December. You do have to go to play the New York Jets in January. Maybe if you end up having to play a cold weather game in the wild card round, maybe it's not so much of a story, or you understand a little bit more. I remember when Tua, they were playing in Buffalo like 2 years ago, and it started snowing, and he was like, it was like wonderment for him. Well, I don't think he'd seen snow before.
I mean, last year was an exception. It was so
that was brutal.
Unbearably cold in Kansas City. By the way, I know everything's gone crazy today. You see Jonathan Jones, our buddy at CBS, reported that Tua is holding out of minicamp, and he wasn't supposed to do that.
Whoa.
Here's a tweet from,
Bogusch doesn't like this.
Oh, sorry. You had that?
No.
He doesn't like this.
He's the anchor.
No. He doesn't like this because it's not a holdout yet. It's only OT.
It's not minicamp. He's not holding out.
Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa has skipped the majority of voluntary offseason work as long-term extension with Miami has yet to materialize. Now, that doesn't even mean he skipped everything, but all of a sudden, that I did see the Dolphins schedule. It's not the same as Gary, but they're low-key a mess right now with Tua. I feel like nobody's high on the Dolphins.
I don't know if they're low-key a mess. I mean,
I don't know. They lost Christian Wilkins. I feel very confident that they're the team that falls out of the playoff. We argued about this yesterday.
So here's something I will grant you. Generally, you want the quarterback there for the OTAs, unless it's all the voluntary stuff. The quarterback can sort of set the tone, and you definitely want him there. I get Brady in the later years when you're near 16, 17, and 18. You don't want to go to OTAs. But for young guys who are leaders.
I mean, listen, they added Odell. That's a what do you call that? That's a subtraction by addition. In my mind, I am not excited about the.
Sheesh.
Yeah, I mean, oh come on! Is there anybody here? Is there anybody in the world? I think it was $3 million too, with base salary. I just don't think everything Miami's doing is going to work.
I just thought I never heard that before. That's why I said, "Wow!" It wasn't even the take. It was just, "Wow!" I've never heard someone be a subtraction by addition. You said.
Very proud of that. Yeah.
We just started seeing video here of Scotty Scheffler walking into Valhalla Golf Club. After he was detained this morning, charged, mugshotted, if that's a word, and released. Bogusch, you've got details for us.
9:12 a.m. Eastern Time was the official timestamp of that return, and apparently he was escorted back to the course by the guy that owns or runs or controls the golf course.
Okay, so I saw that story. So I went to go look. Apparently, Valhalla may have been for sale recently, so 4 members of the club stepped up and purchased the golf club to keep it in native Kentuckians.
Okay, is one guy's name Stewart? You have the names there?
Yes, I do. Give me 1 second.
By a beautiful golf course. I watched yesterday. That is a stunning place.
Here's what I'm being told. There were members of the club. Jimmy Kirchdorfer is the CEO of a local business, and also NBA player Junior Bridgman, hotel owner Chester Musselman, and former Yum brand CEO David Novak.
Wow. Okay. I thought I heard the name Stewart when they were talking on TV about him being driven back by a Valhalla bigwig. But either way, it just goes to show you the amount of power and like chest thumping that's been going on to get Scotty back to the course.
It's totally gross, as far as I'm concerned.
By the way, Junior, we're going to just discount the Junior Bridgman's involved in this, who almost bought Sports Illustrated, made a bid, former Milwaukee Buck, played with Paul Pressey and those guys. Anyway, this is another random detail in this wild story.
Scheffler charged with 4 things, including second-degree assault of an officer, which is a felony. All of this because he apparently drove around traffic trying to get into the entrance of the course. He did not stop when first instructed by an officer. That cop eventually pushed Scheffler up against his car, put him in cuffs. The result, unfortunately, of a fatal pedestrian accident earlier in the morning. I wanted to read a tweet from Ian Poulter, longtime veteran golfer. Quote, "This is crazy. We as players at multiple tournaments every year are told during traffic around the venue to put hazard lights on and proceed to the venue. This is as simple as a misunderstanding, and clearly all will be dropped." That last part we don't know for sure, but it just goes to show you why Scheffler might have thought that he was allowed to do this in the first place. Doesn't absolve him from not listening to maybe an obvious command by an officer, but the first idea of I don't need to wait in line anymore it would be a common thought apparently for golfers.
I'm telling you, I think the pedestrian getting struck and killed changed this whole thing. I think it probably ratcheted the police attention or whatever up, dialed it up, and rightfully so.
Or had guys on the scene who wouldn't normally be there and didn't know how to handle things.
Maybe.
I'm going to say something. I'm watching the video again, and the police wearing those bright yellow vests or actually full jackets, that's exactly what parking attendants wear, too. I can see why Scotty did not know. And I didn't see badges that were obvious. They look like, how is he supposed to? I could see him not knowing that was a cop. Because, the people that organize parking at a event, they're wearing bright yellow vests so people can see them.
Yeah.
So I think Scotty genuinely did not know that was a police officer.
This process, this could be a whole big misunderstanding, which is what it looks like. But the fact is that he's allowed to go out there and play golf right now is totally absurd.
But if it was a misunderstanding, why should he not play golf?
Well, he just got booked on all these charges, and nothing's been said about them being dropped, about any of that detail. And as Maggie said, the fatality. That part of it also adds a big black cloud over everything.
But to be fair, Scotty has nothing to do with the fatality.
No,
two separate things.
It's just bad optics, as far as I'm concerned.
So he's out there right now. We're watching live footage right now.
He's walking to the driving range.
Him walking to the range.
I think to Pete's point, I agree. I think that while it looks like a misunderstanding, sure, police got to tell us that. Like the fact that we're seeing the severity of the charges combined with him being able to be booked at 7:28 and back at the golf course at 9:15 just seems absurd. There's no person walking, unless maybe you're a president or whatever, that would be charged for assaulting a police officer, be booked and released in 2 hours.
With the guys from the club taking him back.
Yeah, and the guy in the club was taking him back. There's no one, that's not happening for anybody. It's not happening for any of us sitting in this room. So there is optics with that I do think looks bad. If you're saying it's a misunderstanding, then drop the charges. And that's what I'm saying. Maybe that process is happening, but I think that should have been done before he got back there.
But they're on their own timeline. So this is, forgive us, we're watching this now in this very surreal scene. So clearly there's tons of media and attention and fans over there, but none of the golfers on the driving range even looked up.
The first guy gave him a pound. I don't know who it was. One guy, the first guy when he got to the range, gave him a pound. Everybody else just kept hitting their shots. And he didn't stop. He didn't break stride once.
No, of course not.
I'll be real, guys. Why is he laughing? I'm watching this guy laughing on the golf course.
He just had a smile with the caddy or whoever that is.
Come on, dude. Come on. Someone died this morning.
I know, but are we going to hold all the golfers to that? Because we should say that about all the golfers, because he happened to be involved in this thing that was not directly connected to the guy, to the person who was struck and killed. So we should say nobody should smile. Nothing should happen.
No, but he has brought a level of embarrassment to this situation. There's no denying that.
Well, he and the entire
He's part
issue.
of it. He's part of it.
Well,
you get to the course, you got booked, and you're lucky enough to get back to the golf course and play. Get on the course, play. I don't need to see you grinning on the golf course. I don't know. That looks crazy to me. Well, I'm being real.
I got to be honest, though. If none of this would happen if the police had recognized him and knew that he was. They clearly didn't know what was going on either. So I hear you. Like, this is I just think it's just a fluke. The word fluke comes to mind. Like, this, there's no way that anybody could predict this. It was like 3 misunderstandings that built on each other.
I agree. It was big. It's probably going to be a misunderstanding, but the police priority at that moment is that accident.
Right.
And is safety in that accident. That's the priority number one.
The other accident, yeah. Okay, so we're going to keep monitoring these details. Anything else, Bogusch?
Anthony Edwards continues to play and talk a good game.
Did you really tell the locker room staffer in Denver you were going to be back for
Hell
games?
yeah. They know I was in there. Yeah, I told them. I said, I'll see y'all for Game 7.
Edwards talking trash after losing Game 5 in Denver, then scored 27 to lead the T-Wolves to a 115-70 thrashing of the Nuggets to win Game 6 last night. So he does go back to Denver, Game 7 Sunday night. At least 17 points separated these teams for the final 31 minutes last night. Jamal Murray scored just 10 points for the Nuggets, missing 14 of 18 shots after hurting his right elbow in a collision with Rudy Gobert. CaitlinClark did go from 10 to just 3 turnovers, but scored just 9 points, 1 of 7 from 3, and her Fever 0-2 after a 102-66 thumping from the Liberty last night in her home debut. Indiana head coach Christine Sides.
I mean, it's a process, and she's going to be fine. She's figuring it out. She just needs to get a little bit of confidence right now. I think she's, taking some shots that she normally would knock down.
But for Sides...
Sounds like Doc Rivers.
Yeah.
Totally.
And welcome to Doc Rivers' angst, because there's plenty of people on social media saying she needs a better plan for Caitlin, because we're already wondering if she's a good enough head coach for this, just 2 games into all of it.
Fair. I mean, listen, the coach is always going to get the blame when
2
it's
games
a
in,
phenom player. But also...
2 games in?
Let's just also just acknowledge that the Liberty are just way better.
Yes.
Yeah, they're a champion. They're a legit championship contender, and the favorites in the East.
They smoked them last night.
Okay. By the way, you said Sunday night. I'm reading that this is a big game to us, Bogusch, because
Is it Sunday afternoon?
Well, it depends on what happens tonight. With the
Mavericks.
Friday night's game between the Pacers and the Knicks determines what time this game will be on. But there's a lot riding on this. I don't know what we do Sunday with Maggie and I's bet, where I have to eat a Rocky Mountain oyster and she has to eat a lime jello, tuna fish jello kind of concoction. Are we all watching this together? What's going on here? This is a big deal.
So I believe Knicks Pacers would be 3:30, correct, DJ? If there's a Game 7?
Game 7 is 3:30. That's locked in for Knicks Pacers if there is a Game 7.
So if there isn't a Game 7, I'm guessing this series would go to the afternoon?
I would assume that.
Yeah, that's what I'm reading that in a Minnesota newspaper.
We can only pray, because have to learn our fate and to stay up as late as we need to stay up, that would just add the insult to injury for whoever loses.
This might have bigger anxiety. Thank goodness I'm not involved with this. Than when we sat there and we had to watch the Alabama Michigan. Staying up late for that game.
Yeah, that was bad. When I realized EJ and I were going to have to wear wrestling singlets to the office.
Reverse jinx texting us during the game. Well, I guess Michigan's going to lose this one.
Hey, who do you think's more nervous, Maggie or me, about this particular bet?
I think Maggie's more nervous, not because I think she thinks she's gonna lose, but I think she's more worried about what she's eating.
Yeah.
No, she is. She hates She hates like squishy, slimy food so much. I do. I have no problem eating a Rocky Mountain oyster. I'm going to tell you that right now. In fact, I'm going to order them win or lose.
That scares me a little bit.
Keep psyching yourself up on that one.
No, she hates it. We talk about Jell-O. She's the only person I know who hates Jell-O.
Jell-O, I can't play when my kid wants to play with Play-Doh. I can't play with that.
Play-Doh, really?
Yeah, I've got a thing about squishy stuff.
Oh.
Like slime is a big thing now with kids.
And my daughter has that. That's gross.
Oh.
What?
Like,
That's
give me
so
Play-Doh
cool.
8 days
Slime's
at a
awesome.
time.
You don't think Play-Doh smells weird?
No, but the slime stuff is gross.
Slime is such a fun thing to play with.
Yeah, some of it's kind of weird, especially the ones with like things inside of it.
What do you guys? How about kinetic sand? You ever play with that?
That's fun.
No.
So I love.
Yeah, I don't think I play with kinetic
You
sand.
definitely have a thing with
I think I do.
squishy, slimy
Yeah, it's like a
things.
sensory thing. I can't.
I thought you were tougher than this.
I'm not. You thought wrong of me.
So when growing up watching Figure It Out on Nickelodeon or whatever.
Anytime someone got slimed, I would have to look away.
Wow.
And they would eat the slime.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's why I think
gag.
America has to be rooting for the T-Wolves, because I think this is going to be an incredible visual to see you have to take 5 bites of this.
Now, I
tuna
know
Jell-O.
what some very diehard people of the show are going to be thinking. Well, Maggie, you ate an entire jar of jelly. For some reason, the jelly doesn't do it, but it's like flan or rice pudding or Jell-O.
Yeah,
or,
you'll take down 3 peanut butter jelly sandwiches a show.
I know.
So yeah, why?
Jelly is fine, but something about those desserts are just so gross.
She hates
to me.
flan.
I hate
flan's delicious.
Who
Flan
hates
is amazing.
Flan is got 100% approval rating except for Maggie Gray.
Ugh. Anyway,
Do we know where we're getting your concoction, by the way? Like
I'll probably have to make it. The tuna fish on top with the green onions and the lime is just so gross. I need Jokic to come through.
All you
I've
really
never
have to-
rooted for a Serbian harder in my life.
All you really we just have to someone throw up into a Jell-O mold and
Yeah.
put it in the fridge, and boom, we got it. The green olives, she almost lost it just seeing a computer image of this.
I love a green olive in a martini. That's about it. Which I might need to drink a few before
By the
I
way,
sit down this
we
Jell-O.
have vodka to this concoction. Jell-O shot.
shot.
You could do a Jell-O shot.
Wouldn't do them.
Really?
In college. Gross. They used to have this thing when I used to go visit my best friend at the University of Maryland. It was a bar that used to have this giant syringes that they would push the Jell-O shot into your mouth. This is
There's
early
one of those in
2000s.
Manhattan.
Oh, yeah. Johnny Utah's, right?
Not Johnny Utah's, but there's
Somewhere
another one
else,
that had a whole menu of them, and they were always in syringes.
Meanwhile, how unsanitary was that?
I think I got a new one. I don't think we were sharing those needles.
Wouldn't put it past you,
Fingers
fiends. Yeah, couldn't do Jell-O shots.
I even did Jell-O shots.
Yeah.
I'm just Jell-O, though.
No vodka.
No argument. Got me. Oh, by the way, the Mets beat the Phillies last night. Back to you, Maggie.
Okay, thank
I
you.
deserve that.
Scotty Scheffler on the driving range right now. Pardon me, surreal scene. I can barely talk about it after he was arrested, detained, charged, and then released after an incident with a traffic incident with a police officer outside Valhalla Golf Course. Got more for you next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. So Scotty Scheffler on the driving range at Valhalla Golf Club. Normally that's not a story. It is today because he was involved in a bit of a tete-a-tete with the police who were trying to work security around Valhalla after a pedestrian was struck and fatally killed, tragically killed, away from where Scheffler was from. He had nothing to do with that, but the traffic jam that ensued and then Scheffler trying to get to the course amidst this traffic jam at 6 o'clock in the morning led to, a run-in with police where he gets arrested, detained. He was later charged with many things, including second-degree assault of an officer, which is a felony. But he was quickly processed. There's a mugshot online if you want to take a look at it. And then he was released. And now he's on the driving range with a tee time of 10:08.
Totally surreal. This story, I think, is going to be one of the stories of the year. You could tell already a couple hours. I don't care if he's out there acting like nothing happened. This is going to have such legs. And also, he is, he has two majors, is maybe the next heir apparent to Tiger Woods as the lead guy in the sport. Is a trial going to take him out of the next major? I mean, this is just the beginning of something that's the rest of his golf year totally derailed, possibly.
Well, it depends how far this goes. Maybe the charges get dropped. Maybe it's a big misunderstanding. Never underestimate powerful people and VIPs and sports stars.
You called that he'd be back on the course at 10:08, and everyone else was like, no way. You were right.
I should have bet you guys something. Also, does this bode well for me with my bet against you for Game 7, Nuggets Timberwolves? No. Maybe I'm on a heater. You never know.
How's your DraftKings account?
Low. So with a pick for tonight, you got EJ's Knicks against the Pacers in Indianapolis. And right now, the Pacers are a 6-point favorite, according to DraftKings. I mean, to me, that makes Knicks' money line a little juicy at plus 195 Perloff. I mean, if you believe in the Knicks and if you think they're the tougher team.
That series is over. I can't believe it's plus 195 Knicks. You saw the fact that Jalen Brunson's foot is not hurt is all I need to know.
Yeah.
And by the way, and I'll go the same thing on the other game, the fact that Luka Doncic has this is incredible recovery. The Mavs are finishing that series in 6. And I'm just going at health, right? Because I don't know. I can't believe. I'm sorry. I'm going to just say it. I'm going to be honest with everybody.
Okay, say it.
I can't stand seeing the Knicks going to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Well, that's your bias.
Why did Jalen Brunson misses a half, then comes out, and now he can't miss a shot again? What is with this dude? Did he switch bodies with Michael Jordan in some kind of movie plot? Why is he so impossible to stop, Maggie?
I've been trying to tell y'all. Y'all don't want to listen.
No, you were trying to tell me he was going to score 40 points 5 times in the playoffs to match Michael Jordan and Wilt Chamberlain. Nobody was trying to tell. You knew he was going to be this
Every
good.
Knicks fan was trying to say we were going to East Conference Finals. That was being said.
That. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, but you had Indiana.
Before the playoffs even started, EJ said, hang Jalen Brunson's jersey in the rafters.
Thank you.
And people got upset. Now we're having conversations. Is he the best Knick since Patrick Ewing?
Okay,
Which
wait.
is probably
They called me a
true.
madman, to quote Thanos.
So you would have bet at lime jello tuna having to eat thing that if Joel Embiid was healthy and Giannis was healthy, you're so sure the Knicks were getting the finals. I mean, Indiana Pacers.
I think the Knicks are beating the Sixers regardless of Embiid.
Maybe, but the Pacers certainly do not belong in the second round of any playoffs. They are not.
Maybe
ready.
not, but the Bucks were they a 500 team post Doc Rivers hire? I mean, it wasn't like they were lighting the world on fire even when Giannis was playing well.
Yeah, but it's a much different story to beat the Bucks, and we'll see against the Celtics. Unless the Pacers come back and win. Tyrese Halliburton actually shows up.
So I would just go Knicks money line if I was looking for a bet for tonight. But listen, the Pacers have been a different team at home. They seem to be energized by the crowd, or maybe their backs against the wall, or whatever it is. They do play better at home. So
I'll take the Mavs -4 on Saturday.
Yep.
I mean, Luka's got it dialed in right now.
EJ, you nervous for tonight or no?
I mean, when you have a Game 7 at home, it doesn't add that many nerves. So, no. I would say no. I think the Knicks are going to win. I feel good about that.
By the way, but the Pacers Game 7 in the Garden, the Pacers might as well lie down tonight.
Jeez.
Wow.
Stay tuned. All the latest on the Scottie Scheffler situation and what happens after with his run-in with the police this morning. So keep it locked right here. Thank you, EJ Stewart, Pete Bellotti, Andrew Bogusch, Andrew Kaplan, Guido's Coffee Drinkers. Have a great weekend, everyone.
You're in a 5-minute break.